Hello, everybody, and welcome to the World Series of Board Gaming's coverage on the 2024 final of Great Western Trail. I'm Chris George, but you're not here to see me. I am joined by esteemed co-commentary partner, two-time Great Western Trail final tableist, and the Wingspan ring winner of 2022, Jeff Harden. How's it going, Jeff?
I'm doing great. I'm excited to watch this match. It's the first year I wasn't at the final table, so it's excited to see what shenanigans they got up to without me getting there. And it should be a good game. I've had the pleasure of playing against all of these gentlemen.
Oh, amazing.
Actually, I haven't played against Blake, but Nick is my nemesis, as I think everyone knows at this point, and Dalton and I met at PresCon last year. And Way actually took me out of Arc Nova this year. So I know all these guys. I have reasons to, feel a little sting from all three of them, but it should be a good game. They're all great players.
It should definitely be a great game. I am disappointed that you didn't make it this year, especially because you were outfitted with the Great Cow costume.
I guess.
That was exceptional.
I got just I would say inappropriate amount of people grabbing my udders throughout the day, actually. So that was an interesting portion of my day on on that day. And it's funny, when you're winning and the day's going great, you're in a great mood. When you lose in round one of a game that you don't expect to lose in round one, you're not feeling that great, right? You're a little down on your luck. But then you're wearing this cow costume, so everyone's like talking to you. They're all excited. They're like, "Oh man, cow guy, yeah, you're having a great day." And then you're like kind of grumpy from losing, but everyone's being nice and talking to you. You're kind of just like, I wish I was wearing a black T-shirt and no one was looking at me, because I just lost in round one. So, but it was a fun day.
I appreciate you committing to the bit and committing all throughout the tournament as well. I think you were the best dressed. I can confidently say that you were the best dressed over the course of WSBG 2024.
Thank you.
Because you had the astronaut suit for Terraforming Mars, you had a mushroom suit for Earth, and what was the other one?
Yep. And a panda outfit for Arc Nova, yeah. So
right. Yeah.
So I actually already owned the panda outfit and the spacesuit from previous, just I don't know why I owned them, to be honest.
Previous tournaments.
Yes, let's say previous gaming tournaments. And then my wife helped me find the other ones. So there was actually like a 6 foot tall inflatable alien that almost made the cut for the Terraforming Mars Day, but we thought that might be getting in the way of other people playing the game. So
that's fair enough. You're still being respectful. Still being respectful to the other competitors.
Yep.
Well, let us turn over to the table then and meet our competitors. For those of you who are thinking about attending WSBG, well, hey, we love Jeff's costume so much, we gave him a stay and play for the next year. So if you come to WSBG and if you haven't got your tickets, you can use the code IAMIN to save some money off of your ticket. And if you dress up, hey, we want fun to happen at WSBG. That's why we're talking about it. We want everybody there to be in a good mood and good spirits. So dress up. You never know what Johnny Christmas, our chairman of the board, might throw at you throughout the day.
Yep.
But let's turn over the table. Let's meet our players and let's get this game underway. All right, so we're coming in right away to the table. We can see that Dalton has just drafted a objective, and we see Nick Henning in seat 3 also drafting his objective, getting needing two hazards, and an orange outlaw. And now we're over to Blake, who's going to draft his starting objective, which is 2 stations and a green outlaw, leaving Way with the remaining one, which is just off screen, but it is the one with any 3 cow, any 4 cow, and a house?
And a building, right?
Yeah, and a building.
Oh, the starting objectives are only 3 points, but I think a lot of the time it's somewhat of a posturing of saying, this is what I want to do. I'm going to be the building guy. I'm going to be the cowboy guy. I think that this is a good strategy. Like, I kind of stay out of my lane. I'd like to be the guy doing buildings, right? So Dalton is saying, hey, I just want to let you guys know I plan to at least build some buildings this game, right? And so he's there's a little bit of that when you're deciding on that opening objective. Also, 2 buildings and a hazard is pretty easy to get, so that one gets picked first a lot.
Yeah.
So what the players are probably thinking at the start of the game here is, as far as the setup goes, the first thing you want to look at is the buildings, right? Which buildings are available to you, and that kind of tells us what's a viable strategy here. This game, there is not the building that allows you to buy cows, so there's not the cow market building, which would immediately lean towards not a real cowboy-heavy game.
And we're talking about the players' personal buildings, to be clear,
yes,
not the starting format, which we see our players doing their initial placements on, but the starting ones. That is building 2A, which is the cow one, but it is on the side of 2B. How the buildings are determined is they're flipped sort of randomly before the game begins, and so there's a mesh of A and B.
Yep, the best part of the setup is flipping the buildings. It's a good time. So I'm sorry, I was thinking the personal buildings there.
Yeah.
And then the other one to look at is building, I want to say 9 or 10, the one that's either going to be $4 for train moves and move your worker forward 4, or on the back side it's max out your certificate. Is that building 9? Am I getting that right?
That's 10, yeah. 10B is what it's on. 10A is the maxing out the certificates. 10B, it requires 8 builders to get to it through overbuilding in some capacity.
Yeah, so that building there is going to kind of tell us what our building players are going to do. And those play out a little differently. So that's the first thing the players probably looked at. And then the second thing is, what are our starting heads? I think Nick and I called them heads. I think they're supposed to be called workers, but the market of people available. I don't know what the official term is, but
yeah, we'll call them heads for this cast. We'll go with you and Nick Henning at the table as well.
So, some games you're going to see that there's not a good mix of heads, right? There's 8 builders out there. There's 8, and so you get those weird games where you have to adjust to that. This one is got a good balance, so it looks like people kind of have their choice of what they want here.
Really about as even a spread as you can get. Blake has gone ahead and purchased 1 engineer as his first move, but it was a 3-2-2 for the head breakdown.
Yep. And then the next thing that the players are looking at, and I should be able to get caught up on their first moves after we talk about all the considerations here, but
because it's important that the overarching situation before it starts. The players have been thinking about this. We just cut in while they had made their first decisions, but they had some time to sort of process and analyze the game state before they began.
Exactly. Yeah, and so. The next thing, right, is the layout of those neutral buildings, right? And so the ones that tend to be very important are the one located in the bottom left corner, because that gets stopped on quite frequently. You almost have to stop there on some of your laps around the board.
Just because of the amount of spaces that you can move?
Correct, yeah. So right now, red has a building there on the bottom row. Assumably, in a lot of games, all those building spots are going to get full, and you won't have more than where you start the game with 4 movement, and you might get up to 5 or 6. But if all those building spots are taken, you're very likely going to have to stop either there or at one of your own buildings somewhere in that row. So what's down there tends to be important to the strategy. To kind of make that efficient stop along the way. And then the other thing is the distance that things are apart from each other. So one thing you'll notice on this board is, I wish I had a whiteboard pen to mark it up, but in the middle of the board, we see both of the train engineer movement spots are right next to each other.
Right, back to back.
So the problem is if someone's going to go for a heavy train moving strategy where they go all the way and ring the bell, ringing the bell is getting all the way to the end of the track, getting that last spot, which is 9 points, and then you can get some money and go back to another spot on the track. But you're going to be really inefficient if you have to stop on the first train movement spot and then move one space and stop again, right? You would rather have those, like, maybe one in the bottom corner and one in the top middle where the cow market is, because then you can hit both of those train movements in an efficient loop around the board. So all of my pontificating aside, it's looking like not the best setup for buying the yellow heads and going heavy trains. But having said that, we do have the 444 train building. So I think there's going to be a lot of trains moving, but I think it's going to probably be happening 4 at a time via the builder strategy getting into the trains. That's what I would be thinking as a player, is I probably don't want to be taking a lot of yellow heads, just because of the layout of those 2 buildings.
Yeah, the only other thing that could move the yellowheads in terms of the buildings that are up is 6A. That's the only thing that shows the engineer on its side, where you move the train 1 per engineer that you have as well. But that still feels like a pretty heavy investment to get to. It's the one that lets you buy someone for a discount of 1, and then lets you move the trains in terms of personal buildings. But that's the only other.
Yep.
And that one doesn't feel like as efficient of a building as some of the other fare that are currently up.
It's interesting. I guess I don't have as much respect for that building as I should. So after my unfortunate round 1 departure from this tournament, I entered the Phoenix tournament, and 2 players actually built that building.
Oh.
And it was like the heyday. It was the best that building's ever looked, because they both used it like every lap, and they were buying guys for cheaper and then moving their train and then taking the guys off to get station masters, and it was like a masterclass on using that building in the Phoenix final. But back to what we're watching here. So let's look what we've got going. So red took one of the obvious building spots. One of the early plays, that's a kind of a frequently taxed spot. There is a black hand on the bottom path there, so people are likely to pay him just so they don't have to pay the bank too.
Yeah.
It would be slightly better if there were more blue hazards coming up, because there's a chance that no more blue hazards come up and people can choose to ignore his tax there. One other thing I didn't talk about with the initial setup is where the hazards and the outlaws are, right?
Mm-hmm.
And since we have an even split here, there's not like an obvious, okay, I want to build my taxer there because there's 3 yellow hazards or there's 3 blue hazards. The first year that Nick won, we had a situation where the entire blue row was full on like the second lap, and every building spot on the blue and yellow row was taxers, and it was just a nightmare. But we don't have that in this game today.
Right.
So when you don't have good taxing spots like that, buildings like what White did here, getting the risk action, there's only 1 hazard per $1 in front of that risk action for Dalton. So that actually becomes a more powerful. He's going to actually get more advantage probably out of getting that risk action than out of taxing folks. And what that allows him to do, since he's using that placement there to bounce into the building spot, and he's probably going to build other buildings, he can wait until he sees what color hazards are coming up to decide where he's going to get the most advantage out of his taxer. Because what happens is red is committed to taxing on that bottom row.
Right.
If we never see blue hazards, people can largely ignore him and say, okay, cool, I don't care. I'll pay the blue hazard, or maybe I'll pay you 1 sometimes, but we don't know that more blue hazards will come. Now, Dalton, on his second lap, when he builds his next building, he might have already seen perhaps a second gray or a second yellow hazard, and so he can build his taxer in a more impactful spot.
Right.
Of course, all of this to say, we haven't seen any hazards, and we just
Yeah.
keep pulling outlaws out of the bag. So that's what's going on here. So
That's
let's see.
a wild like start. Like already, so many outlaws are going to be like a five coin outlaws. What you can get when you make it around to that spot.
And the interesting thing is the outlaw spot is at the very, very end of the track. And it's also right after the building spot, which a lot of people are going to stop at in the first 2 or 3 laps. So I anticipate likely we're going to see slow laps with people stopping multiple times at the end of the lap. I would imagine we might see that from the players who are going into the builder strategy.
Yeah.
It's going to be almost inescapable to stop for 6 money or 7 money by stopping there and taking an auxiliary for $2 plus a $5 TP, or I mean outlaw. That's kind of, I know for a fact Nick can't pass that up, so we'll see him stop there a couple times. I imagine the other players as well. Okay, so we've talked about red and white's buildings.
So an interesting move just now from Weiwei. Weiwei goes and buys two different people. He buys a builder and a cowboy from, I think, 2 different lines. Yeah, because the top line is cheaper. Well, no,
yeah.
Are they the same? They're the same cost at the beginning. They're both 6 and 6.
So I think that I think it's 6-6, or I think it's 6-7-5.
It's 6-6-7. Yeah.
6-6-7-5. So the money line is that next line that's not full yet.
Yeah.
So a couple things about Weiwei's play there. There's a couple things to consider. First of all, the buildings at 2 are a lot better than the buildings at 3. The buildings for 3 actually are a little bit not that great. You have a lot of good buildings at 2 and a lot of good buildings at 4, and then at higher numbers. But the ones at 3 really aren't that powerful early on. If we look in this game, unless I'm incorrect, there's only one building that you can get for three heads, right? Which is the discarded black for 2 certs and then get money, right? Yeah, so he's not interested in building that. So the third builder, not all that magnificent for him. He's most likely looking to get I would imagine he's going to get the building
one.
Yes, which is 4B, I think.
Correct.
4A?
4B.
4B.
Yeah.
So if I had to bet, he's probably looking to get 4B, and I would imagine he's going to put it somewhere towards the end of the track so he can hit it and bounce in to Kansas City. So if you're going to do that, getting a cowboy is nice. Now the other thing about getting a cowboy is 2 cowboys lets you either buy a blue, red, or yellow cow for only $3.
Right.
And with the positioning of the board, he might only have enough moves to get to. He might need to stop on the cow market in the middle of the board because he doesn't have enough moves to get from where he's at all the way up to the buy a building spot. So he's probably thinking, okay, well, I have to stop a couple times along this track. I don't want to stop on the train moves, so I'm going to probably stop on the cowboy market. In which case, getting that $3 discount off of a blue cow is pretty powerful.
Now, some things that just happened in that interim is Nick went right before Dalton. They both stopped at buying the workers as well. Nick opted to buy 2 engineers, leaving Dalton with those 2 builders. But Nick had the opportunity to take those builders away from Dalton, essentially, and only leave him with 1, and leave him to pursue engineers.
Yeah, so Nick had the first go, the first opportunity, chose not to take builders. Now, it's interesting to me, having played with Nick quite a bit, I'm surprised that he didn't stake his claim on the builders.
Yeah.
You know, especially with what I was noting earlier about the engineers, in my mind, not being super. I don't like having to stop twice in a row, right?
Right,
So I'm a little curious about that from Nick. Now, Nick is probably thinking of something I'm not thinking of. If I've learned anything, it's about doubting Nick's strategy. It's probably just because I missed something and not Nick. So Nick's probably got something that we can't figure out.
I mean, Nick also, this is Nick's third final table for Great Western Trail, and he ended up taking the ring in 2022. So he's looking to try to get a repeat ring in this instance.
Correct. He took the ring both years, right? Or no, I'm sorry. He took the ring in 22 and got. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, Jonathan Naylor took it in 2023.
Correct. Yeah, and that was a phenomenal final. Now the other thing about Nick taking those there is he might have just had 2 gray cows in his hand, so he does get the cert and the $2.
Yeah.
So there might have been some added value there. Dalton's probably pretty happy to get up to 3 builders. He already kind of staked his claim to wanting to build buildings by putting the bounce, the sell a pair bounce right in front of the building spot.
Yeah.
So he's probably happy here, right? Blake looks like Blake skipped buying a head this time and went straight to the
I think Blake hasn't delivered yet, so Blake started on buying ahead, and so it's just making his way up to the turn, and so stopped at that juicy spot where he couldn't leave that green outlaw just sitting there, especially because it also applies for his objective too. It was a nice happenstance there for Blake.
Okay, so it's Weiwei's turn. I feel like I can't keep up with the pace of play
I know,
here.
they're moving so quickly.
Well, I'm on my own.
I played much slower the last couple years, I gotta admit. There was a lot of snacking and chit-chat last year's video, I think. So, okay, yeah, he's doing exactly what I thought with the blue cow. And again, $3 for a blue cow
is very
you're
good.
spending $3 for 3 points, and it lets you get to that Chicago delivery pretty early on. It's Chicago, right? For 10.
Yeah.
I think it's Chicago. Okay.
It's Chicago, correct.
So, Weiwei, exactly what I thought. Buying the 2 and 2. Hopefully, my prediction is right, and he also buys the Cowboy Shuffler, and then I'll feel like a genius for figuring out Weiwei's brain.
I think that must be coming on our next turn.
Yeah.
He's got the money saved as well, so.
Yeah, and then so Blake so this is an important decision for Blake because he's deciding what gets to be put out there for $5, and unfortunately for him, the tempo, the way this is going to work is he's not going to be eligible to buy those for $5.
Right.
Because he's going to have to, unless red goes in, but we know red's probably building a building.
Yeah.
So Blake is trying to decide, well, what's the least offensive thing, right? What do I not want other people to have access to for dirt cheap? And I think he's correctly identified that that's buildings, right? He doesn't want to give Dalton the 4th building for $5, right? So there's a few important things now for Nick. First consideration for Nick is, do I just move 1 space and get that station master? All right. I think he has the money, right? Or does he not have the money? Does he have money and I just can't see it?
I think he does. Yeah, it's by the G in his name, so I think he's sitting on maybe
on the
11.
dice tower thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's Nick's money, but we'll see when he reaches for it next.
Okay. So Nick has a few options, right? And he's probably has a lot going on in his brain. So, he can stop and get the station master. I believe that's a permanent certificate, and 3 points for every 2 hazards is what that looks like to me.
Yeah.
Not the ultimately like, oh my god, I want this, I have to stop and get it. But it's also not bad, right? It's most likely going to get him at least 3 points, and that permanent certificate can help him throughout the game. He could also just move his train 2 but skip the station, and he'd be on 6, and he could put himself in a very good position to get the next one.
He could move it 3 technically, right? Because he moves 1 per engineer, and he has 3 engineers.
Oh yes, so he could move it 3 to the 7.
Not quite enough to get into that second station.
But he took the train move for money disc off on his first lap. So he could go in and get that station master at the 7 and 8 there.
Yeah.
That one is, so if he's planning on getting a lot of station masters, that is the station master tile that you want for the engineering strategy. And it looks like Nick wants to be the engineering strategy.
Yeah.
So that might be what Nick's thinking here. Now, Nick, you can see Nick is calculating a lot of things. He's kind of like beautiful mind right now. But so things he's thinking about here in some subset of these things is buying those $5 workers, right? Because whether he stops, how many times he stops, what he anticipates other players doing.
I'm gonna spend $3.
That's something he's got to think about. But
push the train inside it too.
Okay. So I think what he's doing here, if I'm not mistaken, is he is auxiliary first.
Yeah.
So he's going to move it 1.
$1 to push the train, and then $2 for the.
And then drops his additional 1 to unlock, pushing that train forward.
And then he's going to move it 2, and he took the disc off so that his next auxiliary can move it another 2. So what I imagine he's going to do here is he's planning to stop at the juicy outlaw spot, but then use his auxiliary to move it the other 2 and get the next station master as well. So he's going to get double station master.
And double cert too, which is really nice.
Very powerful. So he might be able to, now if we see Nick get to 2 permanent certs as well as 2 standard certs, we could see a delivery to Chicago on round 2nd delivery, which would be very powerful. Start there, getting that money influx, getting a black disc off so he can move further. So the other thing that I didn't see earlier, well, let's watch Dalton and then go back to Nick for a sec. So
I think Dalton also must have removed the hazard earlier on as well, clearing that pathway for his nice rockfall area, although that one will be popping out because that one is, unluckily for Dalton, sitting in the 1 spot. There will be a new hazard.
Well, unless everyone else is feeling really generous, maybe it's a gentleman's game and they decide not to block his path. Maybe they're all really friendly.
I think we'll probably see that at the final for Great Western Trail.
The final. So a couple things there. So Dalton stopped. Oh, this is interesting. So first of all, we just see how powerful selling a pair and a gray. He got rid of 3 cards he didn't want in his hand. And got a building. So he sold his entire hand, which has a little bit of risk that late in the path because you might just draw 4 1 cows and you're feeling really sad. But he managed to dump his entire hand and get it looks like building number it's the building we were talking about earlier.
It's the building we were talking about earlier.
Yes, it
Again,
is. Look
coming
at that.
back from the Phoenix tournaments.
Wow, it rises from the ashes. So a couple things here. One thing, well, the first thing is that when you're the builder strategy, he's very likely, bouncing your 4 building to your 8 is a common thing that the builder wants to do, so they get an early building 8 out there, right? And so in this case, I'm not sure where this is going to develop to, right? So is Dalton looking to ever use that building and keep it there to use it, or is he perhaps, as soon as he buys a builder head on the first stop next lap, maybe he's looking to just upgrade that to the 444 building 10B or 10A.
Yeah, 10B.
And and he'll never use the building that we just talked about from the Phoenix tournament. So
I think that might be the
We'll
case
see.
as well, because he also had the option of the other 4-cost builder that he could have was the one that gives you $1 for every builder and bumps you forward 1, which seemingly would be an amazing spot for that particular building if you wanted to use it, especially with Dalton's breakdown. So I think
Yep.
it must be putting that there because he knows he never wants to touch it, or he'll touch it once to get a cheap extra person out, and then maybe that's it.
yeah. Now, yeah, and that's a good point to bring that up. So again, they're going too fast for my brain to figure everything out. But so I think you're right, though. Dalton might want to put that other building where you get money for your builders. And
Yeah.
if it doesn't get blocked, I would imagine that he might be wanting to put that right in front of his existing building and just
Right.
corner the market on those mountain risk spots.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm predicting the future, but that's something I'd be thinking about if I were Dalton. And I've played a few games against Dalton, so all of the Great Western Trail nerds like Nick and Dalton and myself, we really like it when we can get both of the risk spots, either both
Right.
mountain or both of the waterways. So we'll see if that's what develops for Dalton. So Weiwei did exactly what I thought. I thought he might go after the building spot, but we'll see what happens there. I mean, there is a chance he gets paid some taxes there, but with no hazards up in the mountain, I'm not sure how much the tax portion of that will work out.
Yeah.
And then the downside is if both of the spots between the building and the outlaw spot get taken, then he can't bounce from that into Kansas City. So we're going to have to see if that affects him later on. But, if you're learning Great Western Trail and you're developing and, you get to the middle tiers of skill, right? Or even the middle upper tiers, just a minor misplacement of your building can cause your entire game to crumble, right?
Right.
And so Weiwei could play this game 100% perfectly, but then because he chose to put that building there and not beyond the building, depending on how the game pans out, he could be sitting there like, why'd I put it there? I'm a bonehead. I hate my life. The wheels can really come off
Right.
on what seems like a minor decision. So you got to be very careful with your building placement in the game. So Nick, did we see Nick stop and grab a blue cow?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Nick's money also is just outside of frame. It's a very large table, so we can see one of his dollars that he just picked up and is playing with. But
Okay,
it's
I
below
see.
his player
Yeah.
board essentially.
Builder,
Yeah.
like seeing people be rich. I do. Hand of 3. That's why he needs people to be rich. Yeah.
Has
it's
a hand of
regrettable,
3.
And that goes back to what I was saying about the risk of discarding your entire hand right before you go into Kansas City. So we'll see. 3 for the builder's not that bad. He has a way to get money.
Yeah.
He can stop on his own risk action up there. It is interesting. An interesting decision point was he chose not to stop and grab an outlaw for $8.
Yeah.
And I think part of that is because by not stopping, he guarantees he's the first to buy the $5 head.
Right.
And so you can see this is one of those things that actually I learned this kind of late in my Great Western Trail training and development was that $5 head is very, very, very important, right? Because
Right.
Dalton's going to be able to buy his 4th builder for $5, right? Which is super cheap, and it's going to allow him to, if I'm counting his money correctly.
Yeah. I think he has 9. He said.
Okay. Yeah. So he's going to be able to. It's going to be actually perfect, right? He's going to be able to buy the building or buy the builder for 5, spend the 4 to upgrade his building, I imagine.
Yeah.
And then
big 8.
probably just ignore the hazards by saying, "Oops, I'm broke,"
Yeah.
and go from there. We might see him sell a pair down at the hazard spot on the bottom, but again, red's not going to get any benefit out of that tax building.
Right.
All right, so whose turn? I think it's Weiwei probably deciding whether he can ever resist an $8 outlaw.
Yeah.
Which I don't think the answer is you can. I don't think many people turn down an $8 outlaw, but we'll see.
Oh,
and
Weiwei turns it down.
We should get a when you're editing this later, get a count of how many times I'm wrong on this broadcast, because it's going to be probably often. It sounds like
that might be the only one so far. I've been lockstep with your predictions. What I think was really interesting about Dalton's play too is Dalton was the first person in that sort of 3 spot going around in Kansas City to choose to put the outlaw out instead of putting out a head, essentially. And that's also directly correlating with him being the builder, wanting a slower game, I feel, and also wanting a lot of money on the board, but encouraging, tempting people to slow down a little, take the money, which gives him the chance to capitalize on all of his special actions that he's going to have that nobody else will have.
So that's $5
so Weiwei's getting his money. Nothing crazy to see here, and Weiwei's never going to get the tempo on getting 2 builders. He's never going to be able to get 2 builders to hit the 4 builder upgrade. So while I was talking earlier about liking the 1-in-1, it had some merits. He gets in that situation where now that there's not enough builders out there, Dalton's going to get the advanced buildings, Weiwei's not, and Weiwei's going to be sitting there kind of sad, right? He'll be able to get his 3rd builder, which, okay, who cares,
I think,
so to speak.
I think at this point, Weiwei's going all in on Cowboys. He sees that there's 2 Cowboys in that 5 line.
In the 5 row, yeah.
He knows that Dalton's going to go builders, and so I think that's also why he probably pushed past the outlaw to make sure, I guess. I mean, he did have the space. I don't see Nick really blazing through everything just in Kansas City, but
let's see. Nick's gonna stop and get $8 and then move into the to get that next station master. We know that's gonna go down. Blake is just pointing that out here.
Yeah.
Basically, I can't steal that from Nick. Nick is deciding how greedy he can get.
It's unfigureoutable. I will say that.
Unfigureoutable is a technical term. So let's see what's been going on with Blake. I haven't been paying a lot of attention to Blake. So so that's why Nick is saying that he's trying to figure out whether Blake is going to move in there or not, because Blake has 4 engineers.
Yeah.
And notably, he did not take off the train movement disc. So something that Nick did, which I think a lot of players don't prioritize, but you can see Dalton and Nick, both strong players, have taken off that train movement disc, right? And so giving yourself another option with your auxiliaries, right, where sometimes, there's a train in front of you, so getting that one move can jump it, or you can grab a station master that you wouldn't be able to if you take other discs off. So it's a really valuable one. I would consider that if you're playing Great Western Trail, taking that disc off as either your 1st or 2nd delivery disc. I see a lot of value there. But what that allows Nick to do, right, is now he can get $8, use that auxiliary, grab the station master. And the cool thing for Nick is now he has 0 yellow heads, right? So he could literally be like, all right, I got my 2 station masters. I'm not engineer guy anymore. I'm out. I'm done. I'd like to go Cowboys now, or I'm going to start stealing your builder heads.
Right.
We'll see.
There's a lot of builders coming up.
Yeah. Yeah, there's going to be builders out there. There has to be at least one, probably. Let's see. Weiwei just went in there. Nick won't put a builder out, so Nick will probably put builder plus engineer.
Depends on what you drew, I guess.
I know what I drew.
Okay, seems favorable for you.
And so Nick and Dalton have played quite a bit at WBC, the World Board Gaming Championship, out in Pennsylvania somewhere. Very cold place, but so they know each other. They have a rapport. So I can hear the kind of friendly chit chat there. So let's see here. Nick is doing a lot of math.
Mm-hmm. He's just deciding right now, I think, which disc to remove. I would think he would be removing maybe the cert, but he might want to get a double action of draw, discard, or the coin action going.
Yeah.
Which we hate.
Like saying this depends a lot on the draw, which we hate. So just saying he doesn't know how his deck's going to shake out, and that if he did, that would make the decision a lot easier.
Yeah, Nick, last year's final in 2023, Nick suffered from a very, very unfortunate draw and never saw his white cows when he was at the building 2B. So it was a very sad Nick that year with the white cow draw. So. All right, so after deciding that his other idea was trash, he takes off the $1, which is
like I did.
pretty standard. I think a lot of players,
All right.
money is good and important. You're often broke in this game, so nothing wrong with that.
$2. I spend $5 to go buy.
Dalton does see the white cow though, gets an extra $2.
Build.
Yeah.
It'll be this one.
So
And we grab
interesting
the
here.
the overbuild.
$9 total.
The interesting thing about taking the $2 is presumably that means he's going to stop and sell a pair down at the hazard spot, because otherwise he's going to have to he's just going to have to pay those dollars, right? So there's I thought he might go broke and skip that spot, but it looks like he is going to stop there. So
There he is on the team. On the team.
and then Weiwei looks like going to go into Cowboys just like you anticipated, and wisely not taking the blue hazard or the gray hazard, because that would directly hurt his own buildings.
The only hazard he can take.
Yep. So it's an interesting, very, very few hazards out there. So, you know, the taxing buildings are not as powerful in this game, and the kind of the utility buildings, the buildings that give you direct value, are going to be a lot more impactful in this game. Now Blake is cow marketing it up. He's going to buy the last blue cows. So the blue cows have gone to everybody but Dalton, it looks like.
Yeah.
And Dalton also probably doesn't care one little bit about cows, really. He's got his, you know, he's going to start moving his train. Now, this game can be a runaway if Dalton's able to get that 4 train move, 4-4-4, before anyone else has grabbed the station masters, and he's just the first one to get all 5 station masters. He could just, it's a landslide, right? And that's not going to happen at the final table, obviously, but you know, so it's good for Nick that he was able to get those 2 station masters, right? So presumably Blue's going to snag 1 or 2 more of those station masters from Dalton. So we'll see how many, you know, what value Dalton actually gets out of that building. Obviously, money, you know, it's still a great building, right? Don't get me wrong, but he's probably not going to get more than 1 or 2 of those remaining station masters, and the one he really wants is at the 11-12 spot, the 2 per building there.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's probably going to that's probably not going to Dalton. Everyone's a little too close to that one.
Yeah. I think an interesting move by Blake. Blake decided not to do the double engineer and opted to just move ahead to the cows. I think because he does have 4 engineer spaces, so he could have just slotted right in there to that station master. but I think he wanted to, I guess, make good use of his cowboy for this time around, feeling like he's got the space to do it, and then we'll hope to slot in next time because Nick doesn't have any additional heads, so he's a little bit of a less of a threat to get that station master. Do you think?
Yeah, let's see. Yeah, I mean, maybe he just assumes that Nick is out of the race and he really wanted the blue cow. I mean, he might have had a black cow in his hand, and so getting, the value out of selling it is pretty valuable.
That's what happens when you deliver a 3.
The other thing is that if he stops at the next one, he can't go into Kansas City. So I'd be curious to see if he's gonna go to Kansas City right now, or if he's gonna stop and get a bunch of money.
I appreciate the bravery, though. It's someone had.
The builder's supposed to be the one that does it, but
Yeah, I don't know, and again, there's play about 30 turns in Great Western Trail, and trying to play them all perfectly is something that very few of us can do, and so it might have been an oversight, right? Who knows exactly what was motivating him there. Nick is getting
$7, just one shy on his cert to hit that 10.
This is what's interesting to me is I can't see Nick's discard pile, but he must know that there's no white in his discard pile.
Right.
Or maybe that's what he was thinking on the last turn, was about his deck, because I would think that if your odds are not absolutely atrocious, then you would try to shuffle or try to exchange 2 there to try to get to your 10.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it looks like his deck is completely empty, and so there is some value to doing it, shuffling, and you could go to Chicago on your 3rd delivery. If he does the shuffle there, the problem is if let's say he shuffles or does the disc exchange, gets the blue cow, he goes for 10 this time, but then he has to shuffle his deck before delivering, and then the blue cow's in the discard, and so his next delivery is crap. So, all right, and no surprise, the guy with 4 cowboys is gonna buy cows.
Yeah.
Now here's an interesting choice. So 4 cowboys, he's choosing to buy the inexpensive purple cow.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense. The other option with 4, that you need 5 to get 2 brown cows. Is that right? Is it 5 for 2 brown cows?
5 for 2 brown cows, correct.
Yeah. So I think with 4 cowboys, you're often seeing people buy the purple, which makes a lot of sense.
And he just didn't have the money. He was $3 shy. He only had $9, I guess, going in, so he was $6 shy if he wanted to do like an expensive purple and then a cheap 3, like a cheap red.
Right, and all the blues were bought up because he could use 3 cowboys to get the pair of blues for 5, and then spend. So it's 11 total to get 3 blue cows. I think, right? If you use 3 of your cowboys for buying 2 of them for 5, and then you buy 1 for 6, you could, but not for reds. You don't want to do that for reds and yellows, right?
Yeah, just not enough points.
could be arguably.
Okay, so
Blake plops out his building, his discard 2, right in front of him, and then he can move to grab the outlaws. So Blake potentially preparing to get a lot of money, maybe the money needed to get that last 5 engineer if he keeps on, or even like do a combo to try to get the 2 engineers that are there. Maybe that's what he's building up to with that purchase. It's only $2 to purchase that one building.
Yeah, so I might have considered building, because he's going to want to stop every lap at the train movement.
Mm-hmm.
So I would have considered building at the risk action spot right beyond the yellows, and so that way he can stop, get the extra cert, and then bounce to the train movement building that he's going to want to go to anyways. So I might have actually built right after the yellow hazards there, to get himself a little money.
We see Nick
Yeah.
grab the engineer and the cowboy now, going back to engineers and cowboys with his first placement there. I saw a little bit of a reaction there from Blake going like, ah, shoot. I don't know if I was reading that correctly or not, but maybe that's why Blake put it there. Or maybe Blake just needs to cycle through his hand. He's not happy with his hand. He's got a couple not jerseys, Criollos in his hand.
The old not jerseys, yes. Yeah, I think he might have been trying to get to 6 yellows and just be the guy going to the end of the track. Nick says no. Nick puts the pressure on here, right? Because Nick can go 1, 2, 3, 4.
Mm-hmm.
He can move 2 and pay 2, and he can steal the 2 per building station master with just 1 yellow head. So it's interesting, so one of the things about Great Western Trail is when you first start out, it's a very challenging game to learn, right? And it's hard to get good at. And as you kind of progress, you realize that, okay, you're going to win a lot of games by focusing on one strategy, either builders or trains or cowboys, and you fill up a row, and then you do that thing well, and you do it better than the other players, and you win the game, right? And that's a good development. And then bad players, when they're first starting, they'll buy one of this, one of that, and they just kind of do a little bit of everything because they think they should be doing everything, and they're not focused, right? And so, but then when you get really good at the game, like Nick and Dalton and all these players are, you can see Nick, he doesn't mind buying one of this, one of that, and just doing everything really well. So it's very challenging for new players to actually do well by spreading out and hybridizing, doing a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
And it's only when you kind of get back to being super, super advanced like Nick that you can make it work by a couple heads here and there and, kind of playing that crappy hybrid strategy here. Having said that, Dalton is looking pretty good with that, building very early in the game, right? So he did what the builder wants to do and got that building out early. So we'll see what he can leverage that into, right?
Players might be surprised that Dalton didn't purchase a cow, because he is sitting on a stack of coins, but he's clearly saving that money, even though he has to go through those 2 hazards. It's only a green hand, so it only costs him $2 to get through, which he'll make up, ideally, if by throwing away a not jersey, Criollo, and we'll get a nice cash infusion. But he's got his eyes still set on, he wants to have that 8 magic number so that he can build probably that other building that we were talking about, the one that's a cost of 4, I would assume, which allows you to get just income from your builders and move 1 step forward and do that double.
Yeah. I think
double triple hazard essentially.
I would be surprised if Dalton doesn't build the worker or the builder building right in front of his own building on this lap. And if he's lucky, which it looks like he's gonna be able to, because people are gonna put more heads out, and there will inevitably be 2 purples. So he's probably trying to have enough money on his next purchase to buy his last 2 workers and have enough for the $6 building. And we need to use our brain to get in on what that building will be. So let's assume he builds his builder building up top. Then when he starts his next lap, he's going to get a building up to 6.
Right.
So let's see. He'll have 1 building on. It's probably not the train movement for leafy buildings.
Could be the objective one. There's one, just discard anything for 6 coins and get an objective card into your hand. That costs 6 workers.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't have any little level 1 to build and then to up build to the 7.
Yeah, is that one a level 6 building? The discard for $6 and get an objective?
Yeah,
No, he
yeah, it's a level 6 building.
So he could get that, use it a couple times, right?
And then
Get some
turn it into the
objectives,
12.
and then go straight to the 12, right?
Yeah.
And I mean that's $6 is a pretty hefty sum of money. It's not nothing. Let's see. I find that the objectives don't matter until they matter.
Yeah.
And now is the time to start looking at them. So Dalton could get another copy of basically his starting objective, which he'll probably have 4 buildings and 2 hazards by the time the game's over, so that's reasonable. He could also be interested in the building in 2 oranges. He's likely to, well, depending on if he ever actually stops for money there, that one might be good. And was that Nick taking the other objective there?
Yeah,
And which one was that? That was 2 station masters and a green.
I believe so, yeah.
Nick's just making sure I'm not cheating.
All right, and so Wei Wei is very likely gonna want to get that objective that just flipped up, the 333
Oh, yeah.
in a building, because he's gonna nail that in this game.
Yeah.
$4, so 1 and 5 there.
Dalton is living the dream, as they say.
We've greased the wheels a little bit. I don't
Yeah.
have a crack.
A monumental jump. That's just such a strong building of getting 4 and moving 4.
To buy this, put that there.
Yeah, exactly what we thought, what we've been talking about. Dalton gets that 1-2 punch, 1-2-3 punch is what it's gonna be.
Yeah, yeah. So I would
Money,
be remiss.
money.
Yeah, it's ironic. So in last year's final, Nick, Jonathan, and I were playing, and Nick had a building in the south area right there, and I went out of my way to block the spot in front of it, so that Nick couldn't have the 1-2-3 punch
Right.
in the south. And it's hotly contested in Discord servers and fireside chats whether I did the right thing or the wrong thing last year. And this year, no one blocked Dalton, so we'll see if
Yeah.
not blocking Dalton pans out for the rest of the table, because
Yeah,
a lot of
costs
people
them
had
the
the
game.
chance to put something there, right? And
Yeah.
no one thought about that, right? But if you put
Yeah,
a
they
taxer there, right?
They just let him have free reign, yeah. You would want to drop a taxer there, a limit. He's still going to keep going to it.
Rich forever.
He's still like, the 8
Yeah,
build is
I mean,
just
he's
so
not going to
strong.
ever not pay you, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, theoretically, like, even if, well, I guess none of them have their second worker, but I was going to say, like, the building that Wei Wei has down on the taxer row there,
That would have been great to
I mean,
be up there,
obviously-
even with Blake. Yeah, it would have been
Yeah.
great to be up there.
hindsight's 20/20, right? But if he's planning on bouncing and stopping every time anyways, I almost wonder if Wei Wei in hindsight should have just put it in front of Dalton and said, okay, well, if you're going to stop there, you're paying me $2 every lap.
I think Wei Wei put that there first though, before Dalton had committed to it. I think that was the first building of the game.
No, his first building was the south building. I'm saying
sorry.
if he
I see
put
what you're
the second build right after he
Gotcha.
saw Dalton going for that, he could have.
God.
Now, again, that might be too aggressive of a block, right? And then, maybe then the other players win because you didn't, block the main who knows,
Yeah.
right? But it's just very powerful what Dalton's got going on. So,
Yeah, Wei Wei putting that there, knowing that he wanted to upgrade it or
Yeah.
well, he needed that cowboy circle, and
I'm gonna use the 1,
I think he wants to hopefully keep the 3 potential to jump into Kansas City, like you were saying.
Yeah,
and so that
which
would
you
eliminate
lose.
that.
Yeah.
You lose
Right.
that by going there.
Not
Yeah.
exciting.
I'm saying.
though I would imagine, I'm 95% sure that spot, that spot above the blue, like the other blank there, is going to get filled
I feel like that was
soon.
You could have delivered.
If I had to guess.
The good news.
Someone will build a building there by the end of the game. That's my prediction. Write it down. All right, and so Blake has completed his sale to Kansas City. So interesting. Let's see. Anything interesting on the head market? No, he didn't. Well, actually, it is interesting that Blake has not put yellow heads out there, which I find interesting. So,
Here.
um,
I'm gonna take $2 from my auxiliary. Move 2 spaces. That's $4.
Nick is
Yep, slips
as,
right in there.
as expected. Yeah, taking the. Now that's a very good station master. So Nick has 3 very powerful station masters.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
We see Blake shaking his head. Blake
Oh.
thought that he could get it. Blake thought that he had that time, but when he made that decision to go to the cow and not do it earlier, and he's feeling the pain of wanting to capitalize on those 2 cowboys rather than slipping one in sooner.
Well, and I think the thing is, he also stopped at building a building, right, and getting money. You know, so he. I mean, I could see why he's disappointed, but I feel like he kind of let Nick have it, right? He had to know that Nick was going to take it. It's not like Nick did something sneaky, right? Nick was always going to take that if you stop it as many times as he did, right? I don't think that it was necessarily like, oh my gosh, I didn't see that coming,
Right.
as opposed to just a concession. So Nick is having the same decision again of which disc do I take off. Embarrassment of riches. A lot of discs to be taken off. You'll notice that the bottom disc is rarely even a consideration. The
even
first
with
few
the
times,
update.
yeah, it's crazy because the first few times I played this, I came
that's
from
what you
playing
target.
games like Dominion. I was like, oh, I want no cards in my deck. Like, I would like to trash everything. And it just doesn't pan out, unfortunately. I've played a couple games where you get a couple of early, like, blue and brown cows, and you trash pretty aggressively, but it's still pretty questionable.
Yeah.
Okay, so Nick with 3 station masters, looking decent here. Dalton has the power play up north.
Yeah. Way looking pretty with those 4 cowboys and a lot of nice, tasty, expensive, like high point cows that are still out there.
So yeah, so you always want to think about, like, what does people's lap around the map look like, right? So Weiwei's gonna stop and buy someone most of the time, right? Then he can't get to the cow market on his second move, so that's a little unfortunate for him. He has to stop at one of those, like, suboptimal buildings in the middle there, like either sell a pair or move your train, and he doesn't want to move his train at all, so that's kind of unfortunate for him, which once he gets Chicago off, that problem is fixed, right? Because he can get to the cow market on his second move, but he's losing one move of kind of suboptimal stoppage here. But that's going to be his laps, right? Stop somewhere, buy cows, hopefully deliver. Stop somewhere, buy cows, hopefully deliver. So we're talking a lot about building 2B, right? In an ideal world, your lap is something more where you have the building 2B, so your first stop is building 2B, your second stop is the cow market on the neutral building, so you get to buy, then sell. Yeah. That's when you're really doing the cowboy thing, right?
2A, currently 2B is showing with the discard a cow to move your train 2, and then discard a jersey, not jersey, for 2.
Right. Insert pun about Hamlet saying to be or not to be.
There you go.
Yeah, I didn't actually have anything funny, but I figured that there was something
there.
Something there, right?
People will put it in the comments. Drop it in
there you go. Awesome.
$2.
So let's see.
A red cow.
Nick's gonna buy a red. So this is good. Unless you're Weiwei. We're probably not going to see any of the other players deliver
It's okay.
to New York or the 16 spot before New York, which I've forgotten the name of.
Yeah.
Pennsylvania, maybe? I don't know. We'll figure it out. Maybe. You have all the information there. You're smarter than me.
Philadelphia.
Philadelphia. That's Pennsylvania, Philadelphia. I was pretty close.
Basically the same.
If it's east of like Las Vegas, if it's not in California or Las Vegas,
Yeah.
we West Coasters, we don't know what it's called. I'm just kidding. Now you guys are all gonna hate me. You're like, who's this California guy? Anyways, but
That's why we call you the California Cowboy.
but it's still.
that is what they call me. Yeah. I forgot what I was even saying. Oh, deliveries though.
I think
You're
we
not
might
gonna
see
see-
Nick. We might see
Yeah.
Nick get to that ending as well, because Nick's picked up a couple nice Cowboys. He's got a certification down. He's waiting for it, and he's got those Station Master 2
That's
bonus
done.
certs that he's
That's done.
permanent certs.
That's what I was gonna say. Is that typically you don't see either, unless you're heavy Cowboys, right? You don't see deliveries to those big ones. But I
Yeah.
do think with Nick having 2 permanent certificates, that's why I think buying that red cow is good for him, because if you have, so if he gets 3-3-2-2 in his hand, that's 10. 2 permanents is 12, and he could use the certs to get up to 14. So I don't think we'll see him go to 16 or 18,
Mhm.
but I think his plan would ideally be to get 10, 12, and 14 before the game end, because the 12 and 14 connection there is 8 points.
Yeah.
So I think Nick's smartly identified that he has the potential with the 2 permanent certs to get to the 14 delivery, get that 8-point bonus there that other players probably won't get.
And hey, 2 little auxiliary actions, and Nick's pulled into the 2 double actions, and he can pull into and get that next Station Master and keep on scooping it up before Dalton.
Yeah.
I think it's a distinct possibility he could get there before Dalton.
Yeah, and the thing about Nick's kind of scrappy Station Master strategy here is when you have the builder, when the building is the 4-4-4 building, right, where you get the train moves,
Can I get the 1 3 cards on it?
there's a lot of advantage to grabbing those Station Masters so that they don't get that added value, right? So Nick's getting points for himself, but he's also denying Dalton the explosive big bonus points by grabbing those Station Masters, right? So I think if Blake had played this a little differently, Blake would have stolen that last one from Nick, and but either way, they're both doing a good job of blocking Dalton here. So
Blake does snag the 3-3-3 cow one as well. Blake sitting with 3 heads of engineering, 4 total, I guess, and 3 cowboys total.
Poor too. Everyone is
So Blake has pivoted into Cowboys in the late game, or mid game, I guess. We're not to the late game yet, so we see a pivot there.
Still a lot of game left to play.
Yeah. Now I'd be curious to see if we might see Blake upgrade his pair building to the Cowboy discarder. So that might be what Blake's game plan is here. And I think that's a good play for him, right? So maybe that was earlier when I was a little dubious of that building, that blue building, and slowing himself down. Maybe that was his end game, was just to eventually turn that into the shuffler when his pivot into Cowboys is going on, right? Because I think that'll be good. Weiwei has left $1 on his building as a tax that has now been bothering me for 45 seconds, but he'll figure it out eventually.
There it is. I will pay $1, so I'm going to make 11.
Nick is delivering for 12. So again, I think we will see Nick try to get, depending on the pacing of the game, he's probably going to try to get the 8, the 10, and the 14. That'll get him the 8 points for 12 and 14, the 6 points to cancel out his Kansas City delivery, and then 2 objective cards from the 8.
Yeah.
So that's how that's developing. We'll see if Nick decides to buy more heads
Well, I think Nick also seems like he wants the pace of the game to slow down a little, because he had the opportunity again to put out an outlaw or to put out a cowboy, and he opted for the outlaw.
But oh yeah, I was gonna say that might be because he doesn't want builders out there.
But it was between the cowboy and the outlaw when his decision
Oh, it was a cowboy. Okay.
Yeah, it was in that 2 slot, and he left the cowboy.
All right.
Because he's now refilled the
Yeah.
Kansas
Right.
City.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So Dalton is at the start,
Mm-hmm.
and let's see what he's thinking of. Is he gonna buy? No.
Here's $1.
So he doesn't have enough money to buy the 2 workers now.
Yeah.
What we might see is, in lieu of, well, no, he'll probably still buy on the next lap. But what we might see is when he gets to his little power play in the corner, because he's going to get, $8 if he has a great, $10. We might see him buy a smaller building at the actual buy a building spot, and then save up some of that money to get to buy his last 2 builders on the next lap.
Yeah.
For Dalton. Weiwei is doing the builder thing. So again, like I said, he's got that. That's where he's scoring his points, right? Everyone's scoring points in different ways. That's Weiwei's way of scoring points.
And grabs
that was hard to say.
Grabs 2 brown cows.
Yeah. Every time my dad, I think you met my dad, Chris. Every time he plays this game and he buys brown cows, he says, "How now, brown cow?" when he buys them. So that's a fun added benefit of playing with him.
I can see where you get it from.
Yep.
Oh.
All right.
Buy 2 cows.
The speed at which the play has been moving is absolutely mind-boggling to me.
Don't they know that I'm going to be doing commentary months later, and I need time to tell anecdotes about my father? I mean, that's not considerate at all.
I was telling them every 10 minutes of the table, you'll see me stop by. I said, "Now listen, Jeff's going to need some time." But they didn't really pay much attention to me.
Yeah, well, it's funny because the last year we were just riffing. You didn't even really need commentary because that was that we were having a blast. Yeah. But let's see. So Blake is in an unfortunate spot here, and I having been in his position twice, these are tough games with everyone playing at a very high level, and he is in a situation where he's not quite as good at Nick as doing the train thing, and he's not quite as good as Weiwei at doing the cowboy thing.
Yeah.
And you don't want to be second best at 2 things. You want to be the best at one of the things, right?
Yeah. I feel you'll always hit that in a 4-player game. There are 3 strategies to pursue, and so either you do a mishmash as the 4th one, or you get just slightly edged out by someone around the table if you go all in.
Yeah, and the other thing I'm seeing here is, Weiwei had an opportunity.
I am going for an achievement unlock.
In the final. Wait, Scott, that's supposed to be you that experiments in the final and shit like that. Come on, man. When you transfer that title to Nick?
I have never done this before.
There was one final with me.
Sorry, I was listening to the table talk there, but I think Weiwei at some point had once he got to 4
experimenting in the final
builders. He had the opportunity to get up to 4 builders, right? And he could have put the 4 builders either right in front of the cow market or on that yellow risk spot that I'm still surprised no one has taken all game. So it's something to think about in retrospect, right?
Dalton's piece is looking at it. Dalton's piece is laying face down in the desert, just eyeing that risk spot. So maybe Dalton hears you, but I think that's the closest anyone's ever come.
Yeah, that guy's taking a nap on the job, man. I don't know what's going on there.
He discarded his 2 cows and is like, you know what? That was too much. The separation.
Or perhaps Nick's cowboy just got a little aggressive. They had or something. But yeah, I don't know. I think Weiwei is, suffering from building 2A not being there.
You get your dollar from that, yeah.
But he's gonna draw 5 and
Okay,
discard
then.
5, which is really cool in a moment. So he's very likely to have good deliveries for the rest of the game. So yeah, I can't imagine that. Weiwei delivers not to either the 12 or the 10 here.
Yeah.
So we're gonna forget that. And then I'll take an objective. I'll take this objective.
If not, even further.
Right. Well, you probably don't want to go to the 14 because you don't get your black disc off, and you want to get the movement speed.
Yeah.
So I would imagine he does, unless he could get to 16. But with 4 cards, he would have to have 5. 5, 4, 3, 3 is only 15.
Yeah.
And he has no certs, so he can't get to 16. I would imagine it's 12 this lap.
Right.
And that's my turn.
No one's surprised takes the objective that has a building and orange heads on it. We need to replenish the objective market. Oh-ho!
Thank you, Nick.
Look at that. Nick and I are in sync. What do we got going on here? So, okay, Weiwei is doing his draw 5 at discard, and I do see a glint of purple in there, so I'm counting
I see
12.
5, 3, 2, 2. Yeah.
Yeah. So put that on the correct predictions board, wherever we're keeping track of that.
It's definitely on the screen and not invisible.
Last year, Scott Sacinti, the judge at the event, was actually he had a tally going of my mistakes that I made during the game, because he was keeping track of everyone's money, but he also just had Jeff's mistakes written off to the side. I never asked him what the final count was, but it was probably non-zero amount, unfortunately. And then Blake is.
You get no money.
Yeah.
Which you already got.
Yeah. Okay, that's fine. Yeah.
Oh no, Weiwei's figuring out. Okay, so he's going to the 12.
Yeah, he opens his hand size. He gets no dollars. Spends 12 to go there since his train is still at the very beginning.
This is a point of discussion here because he chooses not to take off the disc that allows him to move 6. So if you take off the 6 move, he can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and he could buy cows on his first move.
Yeah.
That's correct.
So
it feels like he should have done in the opposite direction. Exactly. Take off the 1, get another $3 if he needs it for purchase, and then do that on the second one. He'll hit 10 no matter what.
Yeah, he's gonna pretty much hit 10 if you're drawing 5 and discarding. There's no way. Look at that. We're geniuses, Chris. Blake does do the cowboy discarder there, so
another point is added to the screen. Definitely not invisible.
It takes a lot of actions to do it the way he did it, right? Where you have to you kind of have to stop and build twice, but there wasn't like it's not the end of the world, right? But if he could have figured out a way to get a purple head and build that in one move, it might have been better, but not bad. He definitely likes having that to then bounce in.
Yeah, Nick does again the double, the move, and then he was very fortunate that Blake stopped in front of him, which allowed him to do it just in one turn because he was able to skip 1 and then move in 2 by paying, and will now throw away and get that 4th Station Master for Nick.
Yep, and I guess so. He's taking a blue head off, so he's back to no heads.
Yeah.
Which is fine. And now
Maybe
we're
we'll
at the
see him
point
go
where,
builders. There's so many builders on the board.
Yeah, we might actually be at a point where. Well, no, I don't think we're that late in the game. I think Nick's still buying heads, but he's not going to be able to get. He's not going to ever have enough money to buy 4 heads really.
Yeah.
So, there's a little bit less value if you're not getting to the end of the, filling up a row. and he's gotten a lot of value out of his heads. You know, he's
Mhm.
used those effectively. So Blake is hurting a little bit from the not doing what Nick's doing as well as Nick's doing what Nick's doing, which can really affect you.
Yeah.
And then
It
Wei
is
Wei,
tough.
I think.
Yeah, we saw Wei Wei buy 2 brown cows, and just in terms of the amount of points that you get, that's at least 7 points. I didn't see if his browns were worth any more, but he
Yeah.
might have been 8 points. And then Blake bought 2 cows as well, but only 3 points, right? And what do you think the final scores are going to be around, Jeff?
They're staying.
Hmm.
the engineer strategy.
So Dalton
No, I
is
was too,
likely
but
going to
he's
have.
zero in there. He's the station master strategy.
Could they keep it down? No, I'm just kidding. So Dalton's gonna have his 20-point building. He'll probably have like 30 something in buildings.
Yeah.
He has 2 hazards. I can't tell the value on those.
I'm going to say
So-
41 for buildings by the end of it for Dalton. That's my prediction, just because
Okay.
that's what I got for buildings earlier today when I was
All
playing
right.
the game to practice. And I feel like Dalton, everybody at this table might be slightly better than me. Just
Yeah.
by a
Dalton.
hair.
So Dalton is. I actually don't know if I've ever beaten Dalton in Great Western Trail. I've played him, I think, 2 or 3 games, and I had a game where I had 55 points on cows, and I lost to Dalton by like 10 points still. It was like 121 to 111. It was an absurd game. Yeah.
Those are gigantic scores.
Yeah, and then we've played a couple of games in New Zealand as well, and he and I had a lot of fun doing that. So, but he's an excellent player. So he's got 40. Let's say he has 40 points on cows, and then he has probably 2 of the objectives. So that's like another. He's gonna have 50. He'll have his 8 points for his 2 heads. I'm saying somewhere in the probably like low 80s would be where we see Dalton. Nick is gonna have. So let's see Nick's station masters, right? So the 2 per building is. Wow, I'm flabbergasted by the fact that Nick has no
Yeah.
buildings, which is shocking. That's impressive that he's doing as well as he is with no buildings. I don't remember the last game of Great Western Trail I played with 0 buildings, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes it's 1 or 2, but 0 is truly astounding.
That was why.
So he has 0 points there. Does he have any hazards? He's 1 hazard, but he's likely to get another hazard, so that'll probably be 3 points for that station master. And then he's probably going to get that last station maybe for a 4th station there, so that's going to be 6 points on that station master. So, and then if he gets the 14-point delivery, he'll have 8 on deliveries. Yeah, it looks like Nick.
Yeah, that's
I don't know. From where I'm at now, I think Nick's going to struggle scoring points in the later game. We'll see how he can pivot to get there, right? I just don't know where he goes from here, right? He doesn't have any buildings on the board. He's out of heads, and those station masters aren't like a bazillion points, right?
keeping
They're
track of money.
not
Yeah.
super crazy.
I thought you
so-
probably missed something. No.
And then how many points do we think Wei Wei has on cows? What do we think? Like,
It's
he's got a
someone
purple
online.
cow,
I've
I
tried
think
to
is
be-
7. He's got
We've
2
all been trying to
browns,
be
so it's
pretty
probably like
clever,
4
I
and
feel like.
4. He's probably in like the 20-something
Yeah.
range right now.
I think we've done
He might end the game with like 35 or 40. I do think that him stopping right there is a misplay. I think this lap should have just been go to the black spot and sell.
Yeah,
Um,
unless he was thinking ahead and, well, no, but he would have had more money. I was thinking like, oh, the reason to not take the movement over the card is that then you
No,
would
you
stop to
get more
discard
money.
to get more money. But he wouldn't have had to spend the 5. He would have gotten maybe even 3
Right.
additional dollars. So potentially 8 coin swing, which is different from the $3, $4 that you get for discarding that pair.
Yeah. I mean, I don't. Yeah, and it just slows you down, right? Because the
Yeah.
thing is, if the game goes long here, Dalton wins, right? If we let, I mean, Dalton's getting a bunch of money every lap, and he's building buildings that are worth points, right? So Weiwei's not beating Dalton if the game slows down. Which
Yeah.
is what happened last year with Jonathan. Jonathan was able to win the game because the game went long.
Yeah. Because he
and-
also pursued the builder strategy.
Correct. Yeah, and so in that game, it was a little different from this year because I was employing the train strategy, and I got all the way to the end of the track, and I basically got to the end of the track when the workers looked like what they look like now, which is a little too early in the game to be getting to the end of the track, right? And then the game just kept dragging on, and Jonathan scored a bunch of building points. So I think that's going to weigh into how this pans out for Dalton. But Weiwei needs an alternative way to score points in addition to just buying cows, because he's not going to have the chance to buy cows twice per lap, and only buying it once per lap. He's not going to be able to outscore Dalton's buildings most likely, which is tricky.
Here's a green for $2.
So Nick is apologizing to Weiwei because, like I said earlier, he now can't mount into Kansas City. Nick has ruined it for Red bouncing into Kansas City. But
if you want to explain it,
Nick is going to actually get paid taxes on that quite often, I imagine, because no one wants to pay 2 when they can pay 1.
True tax man.
So
You're still the true tax man there.
I'd be
Alright,
curious
Nick,
to see if
you
Nick
got me.
eventually turns that into the same building that Blue did there.
Yeah.
It's funny, in a lot of high-level games, when that building is out, you'll often see it in the 2 spots where blue and yellow are right now, and then the 2 spots after the last building. And just all 4 of those last spots will be the bounce, the shuffle and bounce, building.
Won't be as beneficial for Nick, though, since he's thrown away every single one of his heads. There's only 1 cowboy to be picked up on in the market right now.
Yeah, actually, this is referred to as the headless horseman strategy because he has no heads, and I'm assuming he rides a horse while gathering the cows. So
I'd say that's a fair assumption.
yeah.
And then I will.
What do we got? So Dalton is drawing 3 and discarding 3. How is he doing that? Did he play an objective to do
He's
that?
he just played his objective, committing to that second building one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Okay, I'm sorry. I was looking at the objective in his discard pile, and I was like,
Yeah,
that had
no.
money on it, and I thought Dalton cheated us, and okay, so yeah, Dalton's got those 2, no problem. He's already has those 2 objectives. Well, I guess he needs 1 more building, but if he doesn't build 1 more building, then I'm crazy.
I will spend $3
And
to buy this.
I think it was a little while ago that I mentioned that Dalton might build a sheep building now,
I was gonna spend all the trade.
and then build that use his when he
all
buys
the
the
tax
2
money,
workers on the next
just,
lap.
Yeah.
Poor people here.
And he can get the 6 cost building, right? So
Yeah.
hopefully he has $12. If he delivers to the 10, that would put him at $25 ish.
I'm the one that's
So
forgotten.
he'll have enough to get both the workers and get the level
Who is
6
the most
building.
forgetful one? Well, oh wait.
tell you what.
Let's clear that. Yeah, clear it.
Let's see what Blake can deliver for it. If we want Blake to have a shot at enjoying the rest of the game, this really needs to probably be the 10.
We are
Yeah.
delivering.
Moving 4 once the board starts to clog up is not a fun time.
Blake adds that cowboy in. And 2 outlaws in the 3 spot. That's, again, great for people who want the game to go slow.
All right, for us to pay away.
1 shy of Chicago, which
1 shy of Chicago. Oh, no.
9.
Yeah, that is tough to not have picked up a cert anywhere. I'm surprised that
Oof.
the train, you know, and this probably goes back to somewhere along the way when I'm surprised he stopped at the train movement thing and didn't get a cert along the way. Because normally the person moving their train would have gotten certs somewhere along the way. Maybe he used them on his last delivery, but
Or he
I
might
wouldn't
have grabbed
imagine
an
he-
objective too instead of the
Oh.
cert.
right.
All set?
Interesting.
Card, please.
They're moving too fast to know, you know, to talk about everything. But I
Yeah.
would have thought somewhere along the way he probably should have got a cert, but I can't pinpoint when that moment was. But
I'm just mesmerized by your board.
the thing with the importance of getting to 10 means that one cert can really help, right? Because if you have a blue cow and 3 of your 3 starting 2 value cows, that's only 9. So you have to have a cert or more than one cert to get to 10. So, you know, always be thinking about somehow grabbing a cert somewhere along the way, right?
Mm-hmm. Blake saying he's mesmerized by Nick's.
No, I agree. No, it definitely is close.
Which is to say, I definitively think that he's winning.
Wait, so what are they talking about? Nick didn't want to pay Dalton, or
Nick didn't want to pay Weiwei.
oh, because he thinks Weiwei's going to win?
Yeah. He said I said
Wow.
he was close enough that I almost paid 3 instead of giving you 2.
I'm gonna come out here.
Wow. Well, Nick incorrectly predicted the winner midway through last year's final. So we'll see if his Weiwei prediction holds this year.
Yeah, that's heartbreaking for Blake not getting that Chicago right there.
And that's just going to kill him because it's just. I mean, let's see. So he's going to. Does he want to buy? He probably wants to buy a 4th cowboy anyways, unless that cowboy's on the 10 row. Is that the 10 cost row where that cowboy is? Or is that the 8? I think
the Cowboy's on the 6 and the 8 right now. There's 2. So the one that he
Okay.
can purchase is 6 right now, which is pretty
Okay,
good.
so the next row down's the 10 row. Okay.
Yeah, it goes 6, 8, 10. The one that doesn't have anything in it is the 10 row. Correct.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, and here's where we see the pace slow down just a little.
We're just gonna take this. Figure it out later. Like that.
So Nick, yeah, I mean Nick needs money. Presumably, him stopping for money there means he's gonna buy some heads.
Yeah. Well, he needs another head if he's going to get that last station master. Getting
Yeah.
some
Now that last
$12
station master's $12, right? Which is
and 6 points, I think.
no, it's 0 points. It's
Oh,
just
0.
$12. So that you really want to see that in the first slot because it can really kind of get your engine going early on. I don't know that seeing it in the last spot is all that valuable.
More money to pay away.
I'm watching out for you.
So Dalton getting to deliver to 10. So Blake is salt in the wound for Blake there. Just
Mhm.
watching Dalton rub it in right after. No, I'm kidding. Dalton's being a good sport, but it does suck for Blake watching the 10 delivery right after you had 9.
Yeah.
Never take it pass up.
So Dalton has 22, which gives him the chance to.
So I have
Does he have? So if he gets 2 6s, that'd be 14, and then he could spend 6 to get the building. So he's fine. Even if he has to get 7 and 7, he should be fine. But I think there are only 7s out there for him, right? So he'll have to spend that entire 22.
I've been rich this whole game.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there's only 7s because there's nothing in the 6th row for him.
No. Well, yes.
Yeah. Okay. So
Yes. Add it vehemently.
so does that mean he? Let's see.
I'm rich. For
He's
around
probably
5
gonna
seconds,
build
blow it
the
like someone in Vegas.
the
Hey, wait.
discard and
That
get
is
an
oddly
objective,
too
the
specific
6
for
cost
this.
building. I wonder if he builds it after blue there on the you know, like like by the mountains, or not by the mountains, by the desert maybe.
Yeah, I think it all depends on if he's going to go for that building 9, which the 7 cost building. Although he wouldn't have the money for it, right? No, but no,
Well,
but he would.
you can't build a
He could
level
upgrade
7.
his 2. He could upgrade his 2 that's out there to the 7.
Oh,
right now it's a cowboy cycle, which doesn't really give him that much benefit. It just gives him that additional movement to chain into his
yeah.
chain.
I
But if he
think-
goes to 7 as he's puttering his little train up along the way, he has the potential of getting a nice drop into 18 almost for free at the end of the game.
True.
But I think the 6
can always do that
12
later, though.
is better.
Yeah, I would imagine because he has to build a 1. I think he wants to bounce. I think he wants to use that guy to get to his 1-2 punch quicker. So
Yeah.
I don't think he's going to replace that. I would imagine he builds the 6 here.
Yeah.
But that, and then I think, and then if he decides to stop after doing his bounces up top there, then when he stops on the building, maybe then he builds a 1 cost building somewhere with the intent to upgrade it to the 7, or he could build like a 3 or something.
Yeah.
You know.
Whatever you got. I mean, it's all just points if he doesn't get around to it, but presumably he'll get around to it.
Well, I don't think he'll have $12 left by the time he gets up there.
Yeah.
Actually, hold on. If he gets, so if he gets he'll go down to $0, right? And then he lands there, so he'll get $6 from his builders. Then if he has a gray cow, he gets $2 from the risk action. That's 8. Then 4 from the 444. That's 12. He could upgrade his 6 to a 12 on this lap theoretically.
Yeah. A really nice play by Blake, getting back in the game. I mean, Blake has the most heads out of everybody. Blake hit his 4th engineer, and then he grabbed a cowboy to also get himself a free hazard too. So Blake's still making moves even without being able to hit Chicago.
And it looks like if he moves 5, does 5 get him into the $12 station master?
Pretty straightforward delivery.
I wonder. I can't count apparently. I think that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think it might be 6 moves away.
I think it's 6. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
But he does have a single auxiliary action unlocked, the one that Nick has been abusing to move the thing forward. So he does have that as an opportunity.
And then I'll spend 7 on a builder.
And okay. So Dalton, the moment of truth.
Yeah.
Super build, I'll $6 from there.
Pays his 6.
He does have the 6 in his hand. Oh, okay. So he says now he can just bounce. See, I thought he was gonna.
That's it. That's all I can do.
Let's see if he can move 6. Can he get to his thing in 1 stop? So let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So if no one builds another building, he can literally go hit his entire combo on the first move of the lap, which is absolutely insane.
Right.
You know, so then he basically is just gonna go boom, hey, I score a bunch of points, and then I deliver next turn, and then I score a bunch of points and I deliver, and he's then he'll turn that 6 into a 12.
Yeah, and if he needs to scoop up the
grab
hazards. Yeah. And wow, that's just somebody needs to build some buildings ASAP to stop that combo.
And the problem is that at this point, no one gets a lot of value out of stopping their own game to build one small building in front of Dalton there, right?
Yeah. Maximum amount of points you're gonna get with like 1 or 3 points for building it.
Yeah. You're just shooting a torpedo at that point, you know, to block Dalton there, right? Which is not where you want to be. Let's see. Weiwei's delivery was that. So it looked like he had much more than 10, but
can't spend them. That's the
I
problem.
think that, yeah, so Weiwei needed to go to the 10 spot though
These
to get
debtors in
the
Kansas City are, like,
movement
twirling
speed
their
because
mustaches, like,
he's
yeah,
realizing what
Yeah.
we noted earlier, which is
Yeah.
he can't afford to not move,
Come
right?
back to Colorado Center?
So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So he can't get to the market on one go, but next lap he
A lot of
can
points of money.
Buy, an
buy
additional
his last cowboy.
Yeah.
And then
I
that'll
set a record
basically
in this
get
game.
paid for itself because he'll get the money back from taking the outlaw. And then his second move he can get to the market. And then he can go in the following move. And then if theoretically if he delivers for 16, he could take the second movement speed disc off so that he can get 7 moves and get to the black cow market on the first move of the next lap. Because that's just that.
This is more.
You got to think, okay, if he has to stop at one of these first spots after he has his 6th or blue head, that stop is going to be worth almost nothing for him, right? Maybe he buys a hazard best case, whereas other people are scoring a lot more points, right? And so he really wants to be able to get to the cow market on the first move. He almost wishes it was switched with the train, right? And it was sitting in the middle of the board there, but
That's all he cared about.
and now I've lost track of the action. You know, you really got to keep me on task here, Chris.
I think there's
Is
a
it
lot.
Nick's-
There's a
Nick's
lot to
turn?
cover. I think we're on Blake's turn right now. So Blake's deciding where he's going to go after. He only has 4 movement because he hasn't unlocked that disc again because he didn't hit Chicago.
Oof.
So
Yeah, I forgot.
he's
That's
deciding does
sad.
he do the double discard or does he go up to do the station masters right now, potentially moving that cert. You can see he's invested in his cert now, knowing that he needs it.
I have no money to pay you.
Oh
So
no.
sorry.
Oh no.
Darn it.
4. Assert and then.
Unfortunately for Blake, Nick was not the homie and did not give him the bump to let him get into the station master this turn. So,
Yeah.
but he could. I mean, he can.
Yeah, because he doesn't have the money because he had no money to pay the taxes, so he couldn't auxiliary the.
No problem.
Well, he also.
Oh, it's not even that. It's not even that spot. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
the next one.
I think he's out of money though, right?
He is out of money. Yeah.
Yeah.
Every time.
So.
So he didn't do anything. His money didn't change that turn. But every
So
time
he'll
he
probably
was
buy
up or
this.
down,
I would imagine he buys the 6th yellow head,
that
and
way.
then he can start going down that corner. But I don't know that he's gonna have enough time to get to the end. I would imagine he might end the game at the penultimate stop on the track, which probably is going to come up a little shy. Depending, I think the deliveries are just going to hurt him because his next one's going to go to the 10. I would imagine he's going to have trouble getting to the 12 beyond that. So I think
even with his 4 cowboys, it's wild. But he just hasn't been able. I haven't seen him put any brown or purple into his deck though.
Everybody everything.
Yeah. Okay, now what does Nick got going? So did Nick is now deciding what I was trying to decide on Nick's behalf, which is, all right, I've gone with the headless horseman strategy, which is, by the way, that's not a thing, everybody. I made that up about 20 minutes ago. So Nick is trying to figure out if he needs any more heads this game, and I think he's figured out, nope, I need points, however I can get them, right? And so buying a hazard, that's points, and it fulfills one of his objectives. So Nick is in let's get points mode, and the heads aren't going to get the ROI. They're just not going to be worth the cost at this point for Nick. So I think that's the right call here.
Yeah, because really at this point, what can one additional going from 1 to 2? What does that buy you?
Right.
Just cows, the access to cows, but you can get a brown cow for 12 with 1.
I get to never get a discount.
So Nick is,
been a good
or
team.
not Nick. Dalton is
activating his super combo.
Yes, he has assembled all of the pieces of Exodia.
Yeah.
And
Oh, did I make the cut?
Well, 12. This one.
And you just at moments like this, you just relish in the joy that Dalton is experiencing right now, because you can just hear the excitement
Seriously.
when you get to pull stuff like this off in a game. You know,
I get $4 from that.
Yeah,
I
it's
get
the
to
best
advance my
feeling.
train
He's
up
like,
to
well,
Right.
and I get to do this, and I get to do this, and I get to do this, and there's $4, and I'll move my train, and then I'll do this, and then I'll jump ahead again for my 4th action this turn.
Here.
Enjoy your
Yeah.
single auxiliary action, everyone else around the table, because I'll take 4 actions.
And put this out.
yep. Blake is giving the "I'm glad someone else is having fun" laugh. That's I've been there. We've all been there.
Yeah, we've all been on
Yeah,
both sides of it.
Yeah, oh yeah. It's I feel like terraforming Mars. You get a lot of this where one player's has 17 cards in their hand and discounts
Yeah.
and rebates, and they're just going, and you're like, all right, I'm gonna build one greenery and pass,
Yeah,
and and that's we've all been there. So
yeah.
all right, so
Slightly embarrassed.
does Dalton stop and buy 2 hazards this loop? Or no, he's out of money, right? So he's
out of
not going to
money,
get
yeah.
the hazards this loop, but that's fine for him.
See, Wei grab that 6 cowboy like we predicted, grabbing a free outlaw, which rebates him almost all of what he paid. Well, okay, not all, almost all. 62.5% of what he paid.
Yep. Ironically, if someone buys that last yellow hazard, Waywell will be able to get to the cow market on his first move.
Yeah.
So that might, with all the hazard buying that's going on, that might end up happening, which would be kind of fun for him.
Yeah. Opts to buy his third builder. That's
Okay. Well, yeah, it is interesting. So what he could do is he could buy his fourth builder, use the free build from the 4th builder to get the builder bounce, the money bounce one, and maybe put it in the. He could either put it before his own building to get a little money before the lap, or he could put it before the cow market. It's another option. Because then he's the same distance away, but he gets $4 before he goes into the cow market, right?
Yeah, I mean, I guess he picks up some points there too. He would pick up 5 points if he were to do it.
Yeah, and I think that the other thing that he's thinking about is like, well, I don't even have enough money to spend all my money because I can only stop at the market once, right?
Yeah, true. Might as well spend it on something.
But who knows? I mean, he could always, with 6 cowboys, I guess you can. So you could buy a purple and a blue for, what would that be, $9? A purple and a blue for 9.
Yeah.
Or you could buy 2 browns and a blue for 11?
14.
Or
14.
wait, 2 browns cost 11?
2 browns cost 8, and then 1 blue would cost 6.
Oh,
Yeah.
right, because it costs 5 cowboys for the 2 browns, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's 1, 3, 5 down there for the brown, and then 2, 4
he could just
for
buy.
the purple.
He could just buy all of the 3 cows for 15. That doesn't seem that good. So, anyways, but I don't know. It might be more efficient for him to just spend more money on cows, right? Than even get the head.
Yeah.
But I do think he'll try to get the money move one, the $4 move one with the builder. I think that's what he's planning on.
Yeah.
Blake is probably still sad he's moving 4, if I had to guess, because he can't get to his own bounce in building. So just that one value of sale off is basically costing Blake a bunch of efficiency on this lap, right? Everyone else is going to do like 2 things and then sell, and he's going to stop like 5 times, and it's just really going to kill him here.
All that money. I can't see better
action for myself and landing on a spot.
And he is doing a single auxiliary action, which is
Right now for what I want.
not where you want to be at this point in the game, but
If I hit any other spots, I shoot forward.
one cert somewhere along the way would have changed everything for Blake, you know?
Yeah. It just comes down to that. Yeah, we saw Blake walk through that toll, that hand of Dalton's, because he doesn't have any money, so he's not even going to take the time to move his piece the other way.
I like it.
Listen, I'm walking through. I am making this a distinct choice that I am walking through, and I am not paying you.
Okay,
Yeah,
Nick is
tough move from Blake. That's a hard efficiency hit to lose at this point.
So what's Nick thinking here? Nick he can move 6, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Oh no, he can move 7. I think he's got both.
Oh, yeah.
Unlocked. Yeah.
Take 4 out because
He is slow rolling the 7 here. He has figured out at least the first step of the move, which is moving 1.
Just wanted to keep us all in suspense.
Yeah. I don't think he's stopping to move his train 1, so I would imagine that's not the case. Although, if he stops at the move a train and auxiliary, he could theoretically move his train 3 by paying 2 and get his disc into that $12 spot. He does have the range to get to his own building if he wants $2, but that seems pretty bad. Okay, so I think he's gonna grab the $12 Station Master.
Oh, but he doesn't have people. He wouldn't.
Yeah, I think he's going in there to block Dalton. And it's 4 points or 3 points. I don't know how many points it is, but I think that disc is 4 points. It also completes his Station Master. Because it gives him the 4th station disc for his Station Master that gives the bonus points for station disc.
Right.
So
the fifth one, he's just covered in that first section, but it was him who put it down first.
I can't.
Dalton's just on top of him in that first station.
Is he already in there? Is he? So that's his 5th.
It's fine.
Okay.
He's making my turn.
Yeah, and I don't imagine that Nick ever moves his train out of there. Once you're in there blocking someone, you're pretty much in there blocking someone, and your train has parked, so to speak. Dalton is like, oh man, am I gonna have to not do 37 things this turn? I can only do a couple things. This is a tragedy for poor old Dalton here. And
Dalton's saying to Nick, okay, you're making my turn easier.
Okay, so he did cycle 2 for his auxiliary.
Yeah, I'll cycle 2.
And he took an orange, which was $1 less than the green, but he needed it for the objective, so totally reasonable there. And $6. So I do. Aha, the blue and purple for 11, so we were right there.
Yeah.
I mean, I like it. I like Weiwei's style. I think the only thing wrong with Weiwei's game is, the starting setup wasn't, you didn't have that building 2A, which hurt him a little.
Yeah.
And I think, maybe the order of your delivery discs there was the only thing I think Weiwei can be unhappy with. But he's hanging in there.
Yeah.
I just think, Dalton didn't quite get. No one really blocked Dalton's combo, right?
And we still have 3 rows to fill, which means that Dalton's going to be able to get. Again, when the pace of the game slows down, that benefits the person who's going for builders.
Yeah, and I mean the thing is, right? You have a lot of times where, at certain points in the game, someone's ahead, but the other people have a better engine, right? But what we're starting to see develop here is Dalton's already ahead, I think, on points. Maybe Weiwei's ahead right now with the Cowboys, but
yeah, that was a nice grab. really nice grab with the
Yeah,
scooping up those
because
points.
that was 10 points, I think, right?
Yeah.
So,
Essential crisis is at the table.
but Dalton's already got 29, 30 some odd points.
I don't know if Weiwei
buildings already.
keeps dropping those discs though, right? If he starts hitting New York,
Yeah, the deliveries will be important to see what goes on here. Is you know,
Mhm.
for Weiwei, how big is his next delivery going to be, right?
Yeah.
Look at that.
he is planning for
Blake
those
is-
big deliveries.
Exactly.
Yeah, Blake's out of purgatory. He can finally move with the big boys and move 6 spots, so that's good.
Whatever move this was.
And he doesn't even need certs that time, so he can save those certs to likely get the 12 on his next delivery. So
Yeah.
not terrible. I think he just got slowed down a little by missing that delivery. But we'll see if he can round the corner with the trains and maybe make some magic happen on the trains here.
Objective card.
The problem I see for Nick is there's still 2.5 now rows of deliveries left, and Nick doesn't have a ton of efficient ways to score points.
Yeah.
Which is problematic, right? When Dalton's doing all that stuff on his turn, you know, and he has a building where he can spend $4 to get 2 hazards, and you're, you know, stopping at neutral buildings the entire lap, that becomes a challenge. But having said that, I think that Nick has done a heck of a job getting the points throughout the game and doing what he needed to do to play that station master, kind of that scrappy game. You know, and
Scrappy's a great way to describe it. It really feels just like clawing for every point and has earned every point that he's made.
Yeah, and it's finding those efficiencies, right? Okay, hey, you know, maximizing the times when he could jump past the blue train along the way to get into those station masters and stuff, right? Looking for those efficient moves. So it's really good stuff, but it is looking a bit grim trying to overcome this builder menace, which has developed here with Dalton. And Nick is in standing up mode, which we'll see what that does for his strategy here.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
So now he's correctly identified, I think, that the pace of the game needs to speed up.
Yeah.
And he knows that he's not likely outscoring White's combo, so get in as quick as possible, right?
Yeah. Doesn't drop that additional hazard down in the yellow in the desert because he wants to keep that path clear. He wants to be as efficient as possible, running around the track.
Yeah, well, and the other thing is, I don't know how many points that hazard's worth, but Dalton also has that building at the end for 2 hazard buys. So
yeah,
he doesn't want a lot of hazard options out there, right? Because ideally, and he probably has to stop at the sell a pair by a hazard, because that's how he's scoring points, is completing objectives and getting hazards, right? Like that objective that just popped up is pretty good for him.
Yeah.
And I think that's a 5-pointer, but he needs hazards to fill his objectives, and he has the 3 per 2 hazards, so you know, he doesn't want Dalton to get a bunch of 4-point hazards out there when Dalton's going to be the one buying hazards for $2.
Yeah. It's just an insanely powerful building. It's worth 20 points, and then you also can be scooping up potentially 8 points for $4 if there's a lot of hazards out there and you have your pick of the litter.
Yep. I'm curious if way back when Nick bought the 2 engineers and let Dalton get the 2 builders, you know, on that first buy.
Yeah.
I wonder if that, you know, in retro, well, obviously in hindsight, Nick wishes that he probably, you know, knowing what he knows now, or depending on how this game ends up, you know, he might think something different, right? But I think in the moment it was very close on those 2 things. and getting those 2 permanent certs was quite good for him, and those are going to end up getting him a lot of points.
Dalton did have the money. We see Dalton stop at his building and pick up those 2 hazards, clearing the path.
Okay. Yeah, and I think he stopped at the because he needed to get an orange head at some point anyways, and so I think he decided to stop there, get the orange for one of his objectives, and then that gave him the money to stop at the 2 objectives. So.
Right. That's what happened.
Yeah.
See, look, you are paying attention there, Jeff.
Yeah. There's a lot going on here.
There's a lot going on, and the players have been playing very quickly, and also like making very important decisions at like such a high speed. Just shows the skill of these players and how they've all really earned their spot in this final table.
Yeah. I'm curious. I'm curious what Weiwei's. So Weiwei is he finally did it. He decided to slow down Dalton. But does that even slow down Dalton? Dalton can move.
I think it doesn't, because now it's been cleared. Now he cleared the hazard, so he's.
Does Dalton have? No, Dalton.
Oh no,
it
Dalton only
like
has the 1. Yeah.
he can move 5, I think.
So it
1,
does slow
2,
Dalton down, yeah.
3, 4. Yeah. Okay. So that's smart. I mean, I was saying someone had to do it. I don't know that Weiwei wanted it to be him, but let's see. So Weiwei that was a level 3 building.
Mm-hmm. He doesn't put it in that very open spot along the yellow though, which I guess because it wouldn't slow him down.
It wouldn't slow him down, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it would. Yeah, it would, because there's the blue building the other way, so it would slow him down.
Right, but it would
but not once he delivers for 10.
Exactly.
Presumably he's delivering for 10 here, so
Yeah.
I don't even think that building slows him down then.
Yeah, that's true.
He delivers
hit 7.
for
Yeah.
10. Oh no, he's already delivered for 10. So he has to get to 12. He has 2 certs, but Dalton doesn't have any cows, right?
No, Dalton doesn't have any cows. He's not going to get to 12.
So Nick's block there, Nick's train blocking the last station is going to be impactful here.
Mm-hmm.
Because that would get the black disc off to get the $3.
Right.
And look at Blake's joy, just finally moving 6, just living the dream, moving his train 6.
Yeah.
So 5, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. But I'm going to, for the double action, spend 1 to move an additional 1. So it's going to go right now.
There you go,
Right in the cubby hole.
Yeah, slots right into that station.
Spending 8 on it. You got the station. Not the station.
Actually, his first one.
Yeah.
Curious whether
Shocking to.
Blake's wait, pointing out that's Blake's first station, because Nick has been gobbling all of them up. And Blake says it's shocking considering how many engineers I've had all game.
Yeah.
What's 5 steps?
I'm curious because the other option for Blake here is he could stop on the first one, get his last yellow head, which he wants at some point anyways.
Mm-hmm.
Then he doesn't need to use the auxiliary, and so he could have this action by that head. That's 4 points plus you get. I think you discard a not jersey for $4.
I think for Blake he needs to spend $8 to claim this station, and so purchasing the head and the station might have been outside of his price.
But the head is
He's choosing it.
the head costs 6, right? And then the head costs 6, and he gets $4 back.
Yeah.
And if he has a white and a gray, then it's $0.
Right.
And then he can stop at both of those moves, and he can actually go to the next station down, which costs $7 for 1 extra point. I don't know, something to be said for that, right? Because you get, as you go further down the track, you get more efficient.
Right.
And I think buying that head is pretty good. I mean, you're getting 4 points just for having the head.
I just caught a shot of you walking by in your cow costume just over Weiwei's shoulder in those last couple seconds. For those
Gets first for dress.
those viewers who wanted to see the glory of Jeff's cow costume, you can rewind
This
a few
was-
seconds and see it.
Yeah, this was, I think we were,
He's pretty cool back.
Finishing up the Phoenix game or going?
I think
Yeah.
I was either finishing up my Phoenix game,
I
yeah,
didn't know the
or
context of what y'all were talking about.
or just causing problems, just causing a general ruckus would be the other
I
option.
was
of what
like,
I
well,
might
we
have
are
been
playing a
doing.
game about cows, so
Jeff.
I mean, maybe they're...
I mean, it's Jeff, so like,
Sort of code.
do you expect anything else from a sentence with Jeff in it?
Alrighty, so
I see the card up by Nick.
yep, Nick's in deep contemplation here.
Hmm.
Scrappy Nick is trying to figure out how to scrap for points. So he could buy hazards here. Let's see.
Which is the
Probably.
play, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. You gotta live and die by the scrappiness,
Yeah. And then also taking the hazards off the board prevents Dalton from scooping maybe them up if everybody else jumps in.
Yeah. But I mean, Dalton will put one out, and then
Yeah.
Red will have to put one out. So Dalton should be able to buy two every time. Now they
Yeah.
might be value two, but
Even
Yeah.
still, he'll still be able to make good on that. And so we have essentially 4 more deliveries because there are 2 outlaws again in that 3 spot, which
wow. Okay.
feels
I show
wild.
a hand of 7.
So 4 more deliveries. So that's likely. Well, Red's gonna deliver right now,
Yeah.
and then yellow, blue, and white. It actually will probably be exactly 4 because it doesn't look like anyone's going to.
Take this one,
Looks like.
and that's my turn.
Yeah, I think everyone will get one more. I don't think there's any
Yeah.
way that unless Red makes it back around
Yeah,
for a
because
second delivery,
it's-
maybe.
it's just going to be, although Red is blocked now because of Nick's building of doing the 2.
Oh, right.
I did the same earlier.
That's correct. Yeah. Well, no, I mean they could. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 6.
Is that 17?
That is tragic 17. Did he have a certificate?
No, he didn't. Oh, no, yeah, he's hitting the 16.
So interesting.
$8.
Okay, so did he take off the movement speed
Yeah.
there to get 7? Okay, so
He did.
because actually going to the 14 doesn't let you get a black disc off, but it's worth
Yeah.
more points technically if you never get the 14 and you just. So if you're only going to get one of those last 2 deliveries, it's actually worth 8 points to get the 14, and it's worth 6 points to get the 16.
Yeah.
But he probably needs that 7 because now he can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and go. So he could go cow market on his first move,
My funny story was,
and then he can just go straight in. Now the problem with that is he can't do the draw 6, discard 6, and go straight in that
Yeah.
way.
Yeah,
If he-
because of Nick's building.
And has a good hand,
Not that I know of.
then he could go in
you didn't know I was in.
theoretically.
Yeah.
Skips over his bouncing and just goes straight in the natural way.
Right.
I have to give Nick some crap about this.
But let's see, he probably
I
has.
have no idea what the other games are.
Let's see, did he slow Dalton down? He did slow Dalton down, right? So Dalton is going to have to go
Sorry, what was that?
I just said I
probably
didn't know
3
what
turns, right? The first turn, do something. Second
Yeah.
turn, use combo. Third turn, go in. So Red should be able to deliver again, it seems like.
You already paid, right?
Yeah, I just paid 6 for one of the cattle here.
And Blake buying a 4-point brown cow. How
Yeah.
now? And Blake. I think Blake did some stuff, and he just again was. I think he tried to kind of pivot and didn't commit to either one to be the best at either of those things.
That's also because Blake has 4 cowboys, So he bought. Did he buy an additional? I just don't know why he didn't buy a. Oh, it was probably for a objective. Is why he bought the brown over the purple.
Probably okay.
I think he must have an objective that needs a 4.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. What objective does he have? The 3, 4, 5, or
I think it is. Yeah, I think he picked up a 3-4 and built something along the way. 3-4 hazard maybe.
Okay, and I think those are only 5 or 6 point purples, so
$7
the 4
for
point brown
hazard
plus the
plus
points from the objective is beneficial.
That is
Interestingly, he did not put an extra cow out, right? Because he didn't utilize his 4th cowboy, or he didn't flip 2 new cows, right? So he could have done that, which he chose not to, which I guess it probably helps way more than him if he knows he's buying the 4 point browns. So there are 5 point browns though, right? Or am I hallucinating on that? No, they're 5 point browns, right?
I'm not sure.
Money, but that
Agreed.
extra
Well,
one
I'll
was
check.
a little
Quite
bit
a
too
bleed.
close.
It was quite a
here.
bleed.
We can do this.
I have
All right, and
There's a
Dalton is
delineation between me and
rearranging the
Ryan.
money as a distract way, I think.
Yeah, to make sure that that Weiwei's chip stack doesn't blend in to the bank's chip stack. Nick's saying,
Ah,
"Listen, I've got a whole row of buildings that I haven't built right in front of me."
oh, Weiwei's buildings are below his thing. I was like, he hasn't built
Yeah.
that many buildings. Where are all his buildings? So he has $8 and $9, right? And he's in the cow market. So I think we're gonna see.
Yeah, he picks up a purple
okay.
and a yellow.
Which is unfortunate for him that it's a yellow and not a blue. So hopefully the
Right.
game is not decided by 1 point,
Right.
because that would be tragic. Yellow cows are just not the most impressive things, you know. You barely even get, your point back, because $3 is almost worth a point on its own. It's worth 60% of a point on its own.
Now it is interesting that Dalton won't get that final delivery. I don't think. It seems like that'll fall to either Weiwei, because Dalton's got to have his. Well, actually, no. Dalton could run for 2 deliveries, but I think it's going to make more sense for him to
buy
just
2 passes.
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah. Well, I mean, the thing is for the builder, the last delivery is often not that great, anyways. The only thing is to if there's a 5 point objective out there, delivering for 8 might be better. Because he gets the objective there, so he would get $8, which is a point, because you get $1 or a point per $5, right? So it's $8 is a point. If he gets a 5 point objective, that's 6 points. Or spending 4 points to get 2 objectives, depending on how it all pans out. It could be close, but
Yeah, Blake only has 5. So he hit 6, but that's not a great last delivery for Blake.
no, and I always tell newer players with this game, I say, it's not really about delivering your cows, right? I mean, you can win this game without making stellar deliveries. Like, Dalton hasn't delivered for all that great of values, right? You don't need to have these big flashy deliveries to win at high level Great Western Trail, but you do need to get more than 5. That's it's really and the 9 earlier. Blake suffered from the deck, I think, not cooperating with him on the deliveries. So.
And it is interesting. I'm trying to remember too. I'm trying to remember who. Only one player delivered to the Kansas City, the 0, taking them -6 points twice. And I think that might have been Dalton.
I would imagine it was the the builder player typically. So I would say it's probably Dalton.
So that does
Uh,
offset some of those points of the big buildings. Maybe
Yeah.
opening the door for Weiwei or Nick. But right now it feels like Dalton was likely leading Weiwei second, Nick third, and Blake fourth. Would you agree with that?
That's where I would count it up right now. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Weiwei getting a 14 delivery would put some pressure on that, but
That goes through everything. I've already.
yeah, I just think that this little combo that Dalton has put together is a little too spicy.
6 sold for.
You should have 8.
I mean, look at that stack of hazards over there on top
Yeah,
of a
that's
lot
true.
of points on
5
your
hazards.
buildings.
At least
'Cause
10 points there, if
Yeah.
likely more.
I'm saying right now, at the beginning of my turn, I'm drawing in
The thing is,
first action that I'm taking.
Weiwei and so the cowboy
I'm not gonna get
score and the
distracted by
building
refilling
score
it.
are likely to be like neck and
He's
neck,
saying he's
right?
drawing
And
this
then
Making a very
the
clear claim.
the problem is Weiwei has 0 hazards in front of him, right? Unless
Yeah.
I'm missing one, you know. So all of a sudden you start adding in all those hazards, and
Yeah.
it gets a little it's a little challenging. So
That was
I'm thinking-
Nick, even right
Yeah.
before filling up the market. Nick threw away his exchange token and saying, "Listen, I'm just telling everybody before I fill this up and forget, I am using this exchange token."
I don't make choices.
Nick is wantonly throwing things across the table now. Just take these heads, put them in the market upside down. No, I'm just kidding. But those heads did go in upside down. So
1 in 15.
I think
Yeah.
Nick might see the Dalton victory incoming and has started to. There's not much he can do to change the outcome at this point, right?
Yeah,
So
you
I
just
think
gotta
we're
play it
starting to
out.
see a resignation, not resignation, but a bit of a, you know, it's starting to set in that
He hits 14. I mean, he hits 15 with his
It's always me forgetting.
with his stuff, but probably would have gone to 14 anyway because that gives slight more value with the 8.
well, you need this. Or did he hit 16? It's 16.
No, he hit 15. But even had he
I'm
gone
not
to
going
16,
in. I'm not going in.
I
Oh,
think he
right,
would've
yeah.
still placed him at
14's
14.
better for the 8.
He
Yeah.
has a
Yeah.
few
He doesn't need the black disc because he already has the 3-point black disc on.
Yes.
So we talked about that earlier, right? Getting those 2 early certs let him deliver to 10, 12, 14, which was very valuable for him.
Yeah.
Nick's gonna have a lot of points on Station Masters objectives, but
Discard
you know,
card.
I just don't think it's gonna overcome the massive amount of hazard and building points that we're gonna see here. Nick's last play is gonna be to buy his 4th hazard, which will get him another 3 points bonus from the Station Master tile, and you know, whatever value he gets from the objective or from the hazard itself. I mean,
Yeah.
Dalton living the dream here. He is.
Yeah, he's just deciding which card to discard now.
For the cert to see what's
Yeah.
left, but so you know, if he's thinking about it that hard, there is a chance that he is considering delivering. Oh well, no, he's gonna get a turn no matter what, right? Because the game's not over.
That's true. Yeah, and then he'll be able to deliver no matter what, unless
Yeah.
he needs an outlaw. And I mean, the outlaw's sitting there on 10 for 10 money. He could just pick it up for basically 2 points.
Yeah,
And then
I'm
go to
wondering.
hazard.
He has $6. Is building a building? Or well, no, I guess he wants to save money to
Oh,
buy the
right.
hazards. But he could build. No, he's
Yeah,
gonna
no,
sell a
he'll wanna
green.
build. Yeah.
Building helps him.
Level 5 building, which is gonna be this
He buys for $10, so just the level 5. So I think
That one's just a
Maybe the
10
whole
pointer,
game.
if I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken, right? Or something like
And I-
that.
Six points.
6 points, okay, yeah.
but still, nothing to shake a stick at.
Yep. And
As you say, my turns are pretty
so he has no
similar.
money, so he
Now
must
I need to-
have been planning on
Yes, yes, yes,
delivering
sorry.
here.
Yeah.
He has 3 certs.
Well, I have to give you.
So I guess there's almost no way he doesn't get into at least the 6. The 6 gets him an objective.
Interesting. Yeah. Also, everybody's gonna get 2 turns out of this because Weiwei goes for that. He needs to cycle his deck.
Yeah.
He doesn't have what he needs, and so everybody's gonna benefit with an extra turn.
Which means Dalton finishes the game, right? So Dalton gets the 2 points.
Right.
No. Dalton's gonna stop and buy No, wait. No, Dalton will deliver, get the 2 points, I think.
Yeah. The only other thing would be to get the outlaw, get yourself a cash infusion, and then deliver, and then do hazards. But
But I don't think he needs the cash because I think if he buys hazards, since Weiwei didn't go in, this lets him buy hazards and deliver. Right? Whereas if Weiwei went in.
Yeah, but he doesn't have the money. He's out of money. He used all of his money that he gained to purchase the building. Yeah.
So then maybe he'll go in for the $2. Because I think he has 6 Does he have 6 buildings or 5? He doesn't have 6 buildings, right? So
he has 5, yeah.
So he can't get that 5-pointer out there, and he doesn't have any of those other objectives. Maybe he can deliver for 12. His hand could. No, his hand can't be 9, right? Because he doesn't have.
He doesn't have any cows, but he does have the 3 certs.
But the most, so.
The most he could have would be 7-10.
Yeah.
Into Chicago.
So I guess maybe you're right. Maybe he does stop and get the head, or the outlaw for 10.
And then just buy hazards for. You get a little bit of. You get that 1 point on the. On the money.
Unheard of.
Yeah.
Except he just got himself 2 coins.
There you go.
Because we had to go through his, or 3 coins, I guess, but not that it makes a difference. So that might make him go hazards right now. Who knows?
Yeah. No one else. Blake's not gonna pay him anything, right?
It just feels like he gets 5 points if he stops and gets the outlaw and then buys hazards. At least 5 guaranteed. Versus, can he get 5 points by delivering with his hand? I don't think so, because I don't see him hitting any of the objectives that are up.
Yeah. If he could move 6, then delivering would be. Well, he gets 2 points for delivering because he gets to end the end of game 2 points, right?
Yeah, Blake just bought his last engineer and deciding if he buys that cowboy, but he's deciding not.
4 points for $7.
Yeah.
I mean, presumably he's gonna spend $7 to get that next station, which I think is 6 points. I don't remember how much that next station is. I want to say it's 7. 6.
Yeah.
7.
6.
6. Okay.
You said it.
I said 6, but then I doubted myself. You should never doubt yourself, you know?
Yeah, true. That's.
Nick's gonna get this hazard. Scrapping as always there, but his next play is gonna be tough. I mean, it's gonna be. I don't know. Spin 12 on a brown cow. No, spin 12 on a brown cow probably. And I guess Dalton is going to take your advice and realizing the delivery sucks, he will take the $10 and then the 2 hazards.
And then you get 2 points.
I can't. It's a little too small of text to see what all the hazards are worth, but
yeah. We want to keep some mystery for you viewers at home.
Nice symmetry that Dalton has only bought green hand hazards. I'm sure he did that intentionally because he doesn't want any black hand hazards in his collection.
Wow. Weiwei also needs to cycle his hand even more. He has to stop again. The player's just agonizing around the table. This is good news for Blake.
Yeah, Blake might be able. Does he move 7? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think it's 8 to get to his building. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, Yeah, no, 7 only gets him to Weiwei's building, but he could go buy cows, right? So I imagine he'll go buy cows here.
Or no, Blake's got to move his. He's got to move up and to claim that station.
Oh, right. Sorry. Yeah. It was throwing me off because I saw the 4 cowboys and I was like, oh, Blake can
and then Blake can get a last deliver on his final turn.
And
now.
he can draw 4 and discard 4, so it could even be a pretty good delivery theoretically.
Yeah. That's really good news for Blake. I mean, I don't think it's enough to catch up, but I think the person who benefits the most out of slowing this down is definitely Blake.
Yeah. I think Nick wanted this thing to be over 2 turns ago because he's not scoring very many points on these last couple turns.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it makes sense for Weiwei, right? Because he needs, if that good delivery gets him 14 points.
$2.
I think he took the thing for money, but you know, it might have been worth it to cycle first and then decide which cowboy to take. And then if you have to, you can take the exchange token cowboy. But I'm hoping for Weiwei's sake that he has the 14 here.
Nick is also going to get another delivery as well, and he did just get those 2 certs, so that's maybe okay for him depending upon his hand.
But he would have to get to 16, right? Did he already do 8 and Dalton covered it?
Yeah, he already did 8. He'd have to hit 16, and he does only.
So he's probably going to go to 4.
Yeah.
And he has no heads, so he can't. I mean, building is not that valuable for him. So red finishes the game here, right? Is the card at Weiwei, or did I get distracted?
Card's at Weiwei.
Okay.
Yeah, Dalton did his auto move, which is just take the hazards.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, the slowing down is actually maybe beneficial for everybody because Dalton was going to get those hazards anyway. So now he's forced to deliver, and he might.
Which is not that good for him.
Yeah, he might have to take a negative point.
He'll get the 6.
He's still got
probably.
the 6, yeah.
Yeah. But it's, I mean, it's, yeah. They could probably outscore his delivery for 6.
Yeah.
But Weiwei is not slamming a disc down on the 14, so I'm wondering if...
I mean, he was really trying to cycle through.
He needed to, I think he needed to take the cowboy, or the outlaw that, for the draw 2, discard 2, you know? Like, because he can take an exchanger by taking the $0, the lowest value outlaw. So if he didn't have the hand that he needed last turn, he should have taken that to get 2 more draws. Oh, and you can see that he touched it there, indicating to the other players, hey, I should have taken that.
Your perspective is not in front.
I threw a shadow over it.
Now they're, I think, talking about how Nick's Cowboys sleeping on the job, or can't quite make it out here. Weiwei.
Yeah, that's tough. I mean, it also should be said that these players have been playing Great Western Trail again for probably 12 hours at this point.
Yeah,
You know?
I think it's probably what was close to midnight, 1 a.m. by the time this was all finished.
Yeah, definitely later. Probably if this is a couple hours in, I'd say at least 11:30.
Yeah.
You can see Nick checking in on the Wingspan game behind him. Your 2 games, Jeff.
These are my
Back
2
to
games,
back.
which they were on the same day this year, which was, or in 2024, which was a tough go of things for me and my scheduling. Didn't quite enjoy that, but I think next year they're back on different days. I'm not sure.
See Weiwei looking across at Dalton's objectives. He could just steal them. That would definitely
Yes.
make Dalton lose some points.
Yeah, you could always implement the Hand of God, where you just kind of mess the entire board up and claim shenanigans. I believe that's frowned upon at the World Series of Board Games.
Yeah,
but
luckily
that works
we
here.
have the judges in place with the
Yeah.
watchful eye making sure that none of that has happened.
I went on a date with my wife one time, and our dog, we've only had this dog for a few months, and she got social anxiety, and we played a board game, and then we were going out to a fancy dinner, and so we left it set up on top of the gaming table, left the dog at home, and the dog got anxiety and got all stressed out because we were gone. And we got back, and the dog was sitting on top of the table, and the board game pieces were everywhere because she was panicking and, batted the pieces every which way.
Oh.
So we did not finish that game, but
We see Wei Wei desperate to do the draw and discard that he goes and stops at Dalton's building to do that single auxiliary action. Dalton throws his hands up in
I
disgust.
recommend just not
I mean,
delivering.
yeah.
Well, I mean, it's
things to do before
Dalton's
Yeah, I know.
gonna have to deliver, right? And then Wei Wei. So all he's doing is giving Dalton the 2-point bonus for delivering.
Yeah.
Which if he hits, then he's making up 14 points, right?
Yeah.
So
I think it's probably a gamble that he needed to take.
And I have one spot to deliver to.
yeah.
There
And
is a chance.
no matter how this pans out, I know that
Unless Blake delivers right now, because Blake can get those 2 points, and Blake will be very happy for it.
Pretty bad chance.
yeah. But I mean, Wei Wei could have done the math and figured out that there's no way he's winning without going for it, right?
I'm getting a dollar no matter which way you do it. Whee!
I have no money.
Dalton is
so
excited that he gets $1
And we're gonna
or
go
$3
ahead
or
and
$1.
There's just one. That's all Blake had left.
Four, discard 4, but I
Oh no, but Wei Wei still gets another turn even if Blake delivers, right?
Exactly.
So actually, it's actually better for him that Blake gets the 2.
Yeah, for sure. No, this is great for Wei Wei.
Yeah. But did Wei Wei hit, right?
Yeah, judging by his expression, I don't think he did, but we'll see.
The interesting thing,
That feels better. I thought
you
it
know,
was
not
better.
taking
Well, they're
that.
talking about it right now.
Well, your deck's huge.
Wei Wei said it was like fairly likely. Or said maybe 50%. I think I missed him what he was saying. Nick said, "How likely was it that you get it?"
Because I had to go here, right?
Well, I actually would have liked.
Well, I always say it's 50-50. Either you do or you don't. You know.
There you go.
So,
Always a
I didn't do a
50-50.
lot with it.
Right?
There wasn't much I could do up there. It's either I
yeah.
deliver
The
and I did
so
you
the
guys, and I got full points.
it would be very very unfortunate if the next card down is
Yeah.
the card Wei Wei needed. You know, and not taking that exchanger is going to
Yeah.
cost him here because 2 years ago, I don't know who did the commentary 2 years ago, but the Nick Bueller, or not Nick Bueller, I'm sorry,
Randy Bueller.
Randy Bueller,
Yeah.
choosing not to use his exchanger, I think it's probably still haunting him to this
Yeah.
day. So
Yeah, I remember.
always use your
commentating on
exchanger,
that
folks.
With Brian Muller, who is
Yeah.
standing behind Blake right now.
Ah,
I don't know.
oh yes, there he
I'll see
is.
what the
Yeah.
score is
I
at the
think
end.
if you win, I think it's Nick.
Yeah, that was that. I think that was my favorite of the two finals because I knew about 20 minutes into that one that I was not winning, and so I got to enjoy. So it was almost like this experience now commentating, except for I was actually sitting in the fourth seat,
Right.
but I could kind of just chit chat.
I wanted to block that space so bad.
And
Wei Wei
The-
talking right now about wanting to block
I
that
wanted
space
to
so
write down my
badly.
deck, but I had to give it to a cow to get
The
that.
space
Well,
that
was
we were talking about. Wei Wei, we wished he blocked it as well to stop Dalton's 1-2
But that means
punch
I was never getting
up
12,
top.
So it was. It's gonna
Yep.
happen in the long run, but yeah. So I'm obliged to go in and end this awesome final, guys.
The debate.
No one can get hazard.
another year of World Series of Board Games and another year of
That
debate over
doesn't matter.
whether
Blocking.
to block or not to block is becoming a recurring theme. So
That is the question. Not is the cow market out, not is the cow building out, but it's really to block or not to block, not 2B or 2A.
yeah,
Full circle. We got
I
that.
like that. I like that. Yeah. So it's so 2025 we should go back to blocking. It looks like because this year you didn't block and it looks like the builder's gonna come away with it here.
Mm-hmm.
Alright.
Of course, last year the person who got blocked didn't win, and someone else entirely won, not the blocker or the blockee. So
Right.
maybe it's a moot point, you know.
Oh, Weiwei does hit it though.
Weiwei hit it. There we go.
Wow.
$8. Yeah.
That's huge. That's so important for Weiwei. Here we're talking about the builder, but maybe Weiwei's going to make a comeback right now.
Yeah. Well, at least it's going to be close now. So I think.
Yeah. What a clutch delivery for Weiwei.
It only took him four extra actions there at the end, right? Or 2 extra actions there at the end.
Oh, poor Blake decides not to deliver because he doesn't have the cards in his hand, and he'll just be saddled with negative points.
Oh no.
Oh, he just takes a coin to not have to deal with the negatives. Nick drops into the 4, only delivering a 4, getting exchange token for his trouble.
Yeah.
And now we're moving on as players
To
shake
scoring.
hands to the final scoring.
Good game. It's a delight to watch. That's a lot of fun. I think we.
It was fun to play at this
Famous
high
last words.
level
I
because
think we have a clean game.
I think we did our best. Yeah.
We'll start with money. How many points of money do you have?
I got
Points in money.
Points.
All right. So Dalton's got
oh, sorry, it's
4 money points. It
So
looks
Blake
like.
gets 1,
4.
Dalton gets 4.
Points for buildings, starting with the red player. So we'll work together.
Weiwei's got 1 or 2, I think.
Yeah. 12 points in buildings for Weiwei.
Okay, that's actually not bad. So he did get
4
that level
points
6
in
building.
points for Blake.
Achievement. Not unlocked. White.
Okay.
Now over to White.
40? 41 maybe?
45.
45, okay.
Beats the 41 bar, but you know, it's pretty close.
This is going to be the.
Let's see what the cow number is for Weiwei. That's the exciting one.
Yeah.
Hey, well, we forgot to give Yellow his 1 building
Yeah.
point, you know? Don't want to disrespect Nick's 1 point building.
So 6.
18 minus.
And now they're doing deliveries, so Red has...
Six total for Red.
-6.
Okay.
Blue has -6 in deliveries.
That's pretty common. If you can't get to the 12, then you -6 is not the unheard of. Red only has 6. Did they go? Were they the one who went to Kansas City twice?
Yeah. Red was.
Okay.
Dalton said he got -9, so they're doing cows now. There's a bit of chatter at the table, so it's hard to overhear. We'll listen in.
No. We'll do it around.
Did you give red 6?
What?
If you need a cat, yeah, that works too.
Isn't there a
12
sheet?
minus
Oh,
12.
there's yeah, there's
It's 20,
yes,
it's 24
good
minus
call.
12.
Yes, that
It's
wasn't
12
paying
points, not 6 points.
Yeah,
You didn't count
I missed the 6.
Yeah, you missed
Oh, they
Yeah,
missed the
so
6.
you
They're
get-
going
Yeah,
back.
I was confused because I was like,
Yeah.
there's no way that it should be 8. It
Good
should
call,
be
Andy.
yeah. So it's 14, right?
It should have 12.
Should be 12.
Oh, it's 12 because it was 6.
Or 12.
Well,
Yeah.
because
Okay.
this is 24 right here. Minus 12, yeah.
Yeah, 24 minus 12.
Yeah, there's
Oh
a
yeah,
card
it's
blocking
4,
it.
8, and 6, and then -6. Yeah. Okay.
Hazard points starting with red.
actually, 1.
Hazard points. 4 for Blue.
I have 20.
Okay.
20 for Dalton.
Oh wow.
I think I have 40, but let's double check. 13.
Now they're doing cows. Weiwei thinks he has 42.
Okay. So I was right that the cows and the buildings were very close to
Yeah.
very close to each other.
That's going to be the hazards and the objectives that make the difference.
Yeah, I think that the because the deliveries, if you add deliveries, buildings, and cows, they're pretty close.
sweet.
But does Weiwei have only 1 objective? Is that right?
Yeah, Weiwei had 0 for... I don't know, they're doing objectives right now.
Okay.
Definitely have those.
They're kind of all shouting them at the same time. Are Judge Scott keeping up with it?
I did end up with that though.
I'm seeing 13 for Dalton. I can't see Nick's in the screen.
Do you have 4 drops?
No, but I'm not doing that one.
Yeah.
So
Okay, gotcha.
it's not negative.
Blake had
Blake had 9.
8. or 9. Okay, a 5 and a 4. Did Nick also? Nick had
15.
3.
I heard a 15.
Okay, that must have been Nick
Yeah.
because Dalton has
Giving
13.
my starting
And that's you need to get something like 15 on
Yeah.
objectives if you're playing the scrappy headless horseman
For
strategy,
sure.
which
The
hopefully
well-known
that's trending on
Headless
Twitter now.
horseman strategy.
Hashtag headless horseman.
Station master is just Nick.
Yes,
3669.
because he has 4, 5, 6 certs, so that's 9.
24.
Okay, so it looks like it's a 9, a 6, and a 6, right? Is that?
Oh, there is a judge.
Oh, must have been 12, 6, and 6.
All right, now we're looking at. I see. This is going to be the
Head bonus.
head bonus up here.
So then we're looking at
Oh.
characters.
Yeah, okay. I forgot he had the
points.
super buildings.
8 points for everybody except Nick.
And 3 points. Everybody good?
Well, the headless horseman doesn't often score points on the heads.
You know.
You'll find out. You know.
As per the name.
Right. Yeah.
Do we just want to do calculate? We did like 2 people did calculator at the same time.
So I'm guessing Dalton by like 7, maybe by 8, somewhere in that range of the margin of victory. Way, I think made it a close fight here at the end.
Let's listen
But
in.
Back to 10, 14, 24, 33, 41, 44, 44.
Barely. God.
44 for Blake. I think it was something like 87 for Weiwei.
34,
okay.
41, 56, 80, 83.
80 for Nick.
Can you recount that?
Not bad.
That's correct. 6, 14, 23, 34.
Can you recount that, please?
I'll take a point for the only person to get food on.
24. Okay, yes.
That's 8 points.
34, 41.
And this is where you have to start counting.
Got it.
Oh,
There we
wow.
go.
83 for Nick.
Okay.
49,
Very close there. 4 points.
Oh, you gotta start counting, yeah.
43, 63, 76. That's correct.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. 40, 43, 63, 76, 84, 87, 89.
Whoa.
89 for
2
Dalton.
points.
Oh wow.
So
2
2
points,
points.
huh?
It was
Wow.
2 points. Yeah, 87 for Weiwei, 89 for Dalton, 83 for Nick, and those are the top 3 scores. Blake unable to be making up that Chicago thing.
Wow. That was closer than I thought it was going to be there at the end.
That was really close.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I think players were afraid of Weiwei throughout. I think that's why you heard Nick talking about. Was thinking about the
Going
3.
up there.
You
Yeah.
know, because Weiwei's cows really got off. I'm so surprised it's that close though, because I just felt with all of Dalton's hazards that like he was
Right.
running away with the game, but it really came down to just margins.
Yeah, there's a lot. There was 200 decisions
Yeah.
there, right? It could have gone any way. I think inadvertently, Blake took the one objective that Weiwei could have completed for 3 points
Right.
along the way, which I think hurt Weiwei. It was a very tight game. I mean, you got a big shout out to all the players. Dalton, great Western Trail player, really deserves a win.
Yeah.
Plays well. A super nice guy too. Unless you don't like the Philadelphia Eagles, then you will not get along with Dalton.
We saw
Nick-
him repping the Eagles jersey at the table, and it's a win for the Eagles. It's a win for
Yes,
Dalton. It's a win for the
it
Eagles
is.
as well.
Yeah,
They're
very
gonna
proud of
share
him.
the ring. They're gonna share it around.
Right? Yeah. They should, send him to like a game or something, or give
Yeah.
him season tickets, right?
Yeah.
No, I mean, Nick did a great job showcasing kind of that scrappy strategy that I think
Yeah.
you don't see every day. So it was really good to see that. And he was
Mhm.
only, 6 points out of the win there
Yeah.
with that. And I believe, so Nick obviously did well the rest of the tournament. We know that. And Weiwei, I believe, is going to be in your Arc Nova video.
Right.
He made the final
Yeah.
table there as well, right?
It's in the
So-
finals of Arc Nova. Yeah, you can find that on the No Wonders channel, is the Arc Nova specific channel that we had them do the commentary for.
Oh, wonderful. Awesome. Yeah. So, yeah, great game, great players. I'm sure we'll see them again in future years.
Yeah.
And hopefully I'll be seated at the table and have to decline doing commentary for next year's game. So we'll see how that goes.
And if you're watching this at home, you could be seated at the final table with Jeff Harden, both in your cow costumes. You can get your tickets at WSBGVegas.com. Make sure to use that code IAMIN to save some money off of your ticket. Jeff, thank you so much for commentating on this. This was a friggin' blast. Do you have any final thoughts to close us off?
No, I mean, thanks for letting me do it. I look forward to seeing everybody next year. Should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, we'll see you all at the event. If you don't have your tickets, go get it. It's a fun time. Jeff's going to be there. I'm going to be there. You know what? Now you're going to be there. Yeah, what a great game. Great final table. Congratulations to everybody who made the final table, and congratulations to Dalton for the win. From all of us here at the World Series of Board Gaming, thanks for watching, and what are you waiting for? It's time to get in the game.